Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
And we are back for another week of sports. Yeah! Welcome into the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I'm Jay Crawford. I'm wondering if the Guardians can petition Major League Baseball to go back on the road. Has that ever happened? We'll talk about the Guardians coming up.
G. Bush in the building. This thing about to get hot and heavy. Deshaun Watson trial on Tuesday. Will the NFL fold? Will the Players Association hit the nuclear launch codes? I think so.
I'm Jason Lloyd, and the Houston Texans are now officially in part of the lawsuit. Tony Busby just this morning issued a statement announcing that he has filed his first lawsuit of what could be many against the Houston Texans for their role in this Deshaun Watson scandal. Stay tuned. There's plenty more to come.
B. Sellers here, and I just want to say, like the kids, could my man's Mayfield be back under center again for the Browns? My man's Mayfield could be back under center again for the Browns.
No. Oh, my God, enough. Jason's still short. You guys are lost in the soup on this.
I'm sitting on a pillow.
I am former NBA big man Joe Barry Carroll, and would you believe that the Golden State Warriors acquired me for the Chief, Robert Parrish, and Kevin McHale? What the hell are they thinking? One of the worst trades in NBA history.
Man, that's a throwback.
By the way, I saw Top Gun this weekend. Anybody see it yet?
Yeah. That was great.
Still haven't.
You saw the new one?
It was beautiful.
That was awesome.
It was awesome.
Better than the first one?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think so.
I have not heard that in a very long time.
It was good.
Tom Cruise looked like he aged 2 years. It's creepy.
Yeah, I know.
He's creepy.
I'll have what he's having. And the guy, Goose's son, who is no relative to Anthony Edwards.
Miles Teller, the
actor.
Is
like a separated at birth twin.
They had like the perfect mustache. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, the super cheesy, skinny, weird mustache.
Yes, it was phenomenal. Excellent movie.
He looks just like him. All right, we're going to come back to all of these things throughout the program. Before we get started today, though, Mikey, I want you've got a very special announcement. Stevie, our director, had a big weekend this weekend. What happened?
Yeah, so first off, show note, we passed 8,000 YouTube subscribers. So shout out to all you guys, your families. Tell everyone to keep subscribing. But more importantly, my man Stevie Buckets, a.k.a. Director Steve, a.k.a. the Michael Jordan of directing, won his 25th and 26th Emmys. The total number of Emmys in the back to 26. I'm on his coattails. It's like Horace Grant and Michael Jordan combining for 60 points. Me and Stevie Buckets got 26 Emmys in the house with an asterisk because I got a couple AP and college awards. But shout out Stevie Buckets.
I've heard they're going to change the name of the Emmy to the Stevie. Damn. Is that true?
The Stevie Buckets?
Yeah.
Also, Steve, have you ever scored a basket in your life? Is Stevie Buckets appropriate? He said no if you couldn't hear it. But I kind of like Stevie Buckets.
I do too.
Listen, he's a phenomenal director. We are really lucky to have him. He kind of fell into our lap because he was retiring from his day job, and we were like, hey, over here. But Stevie, I promise you, that's not your last Emmy.
No,
okay?
but Steve was the kid at the schoolyard who would show up with, like, cargo pants and, like, boots. And he was the last guy picked for basketball. There's no offense, Steve.
But he was smart enough to be the substitute
That's
teacher.
right. But instead, while those dummies are all, homeless now, he's picking up 26 Emmys.
Steve was smart enough to be the free agent. Like, I'm the free agent here.
Yeah, hey, he played it well.
Hey, you ain't retired either, dog. I will show up at your crib.
Yeah, there's no retirement
What
for
you
you,
talking
buddy.
about?
It's 26 and counting, by the way.
26. How many
26
years have you
and
been doing this, Stevie?
About 40.
All right, that's not a bad ratio. That's not a bad ratio at all.
He's going to have 20
Congratulations.
more by the end of UCSS.
I know in one of the categories he knew he was going to win, so when he headed to Indianapolis, he knew he was coming back with hardware.
Yeah.
But he picked up 2.
It's double his age, I think, as I've been actually doing this. Just to give it a perspective there. So.
That's all right. Well, we love to have you. We're thrilled to have you. And
Steve, did you slap anybody in the face on the dais?
No, I did not. I did not.
And nor did he get slapped.
No, okay.
Which is key.
By the way,
and we got some big news to get to today, though. Let's talk Watson.
Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
we've got to get right to
Monumental.
this.
We've been waiting for this. Let's get to it.
And it looks like that we're closer to the end now because we know that the hearing is going to happen. So here's how this is going to go down, according to multiple reports. Tomorrow, Watson will get his opportunity to talk to Sue Robinson. She, of course, is the disciplinary officer that has been chosen by the NFL to listen to player disciplinary cases. This is the first time that she'll actually make a ruling. So we don't really have a body of work or a precedent to see whether she's going to be extra harsh, extra lenient. We don't know. Her background is she was a former judge in, I believe, the Delaware district, and most of her cases surrounded on patent disputes. So this is somewhat new to her. But here's the way it's going to go down. The league is going to push for what they believe the penalty should be, and the NFLPA or Deshaun Watson will push his side, what he thinks the punishment should be. This could go a lot of different ways. Sue Robinson can say, nothing done here that was egregious, no penalty. And if that's what she says, then this is a done deal. She could recommend one penalty, and the NFL could recommend one that's more harsh, and the word is it's going to be between a year to an indefinite suspension. So, and the fact that leaked from the league, you can bet that that's probably where they're going here. Then she can decide, she can pick one in the middle. And if Deshaun Watson wants to appeal, he can. The interesting thing that really makes this feel like a kangaroo court is if the NFL wants to appeal, the appeal is heard by Roger Goodell.
Right.
So that to me seems like it's very kangaroo courtish. But we've speculated how this thing might play out all along. And it almost feels like it's going according to script. You almost expect that the league's going to ask for 1 year or indefinite. The NFLPA will ask for 4 games, and perhaps they could end up right in the middle, 8 games or somewhere in between. Bull,
I'll apologize if I'm wrong, but I think this is one coordinated effort by the NFL.
It feels that way.
I don't believe for a minute he's going to be suspended indefinitely. I don't think the league wants to suspend him indefinitely. This is one giant fraud, and all these big-time NFL beat reporters are being conned, essentially, as I see it. They're giving this information. The NFL is putting out this information because the NFL wants to look as if they're going to be as tough as they possibly can.
Right. We wanted a year, but Sue intervened.
And she intervened, and we don't want a long battle with the NFLPA. And I think, or maybe it's just what I'm hoping is the case, but I think that's the case. It doesn't benefit the NFL to have an indefinite suspension. It doesn't benefit the Browns. Who does it benefit? Who benefits from an indefinite suspension?
Well, the groups that are screaming for a harsh punishment here.
People are listen, you can scream all you want, right? We had a court decision last week that people, myself included, are screaming about. We're all wasting our time. You have to make if you want things to change, you actually have to do something about it. You can't protest. You can't sing God Bless America on the steps of Congress. That stuff's all, you can't tweet about it. Oh, I've done it. It's all a waste of time. If you want something to change, you actually got to do something about it. You got to take real steps. So those people can scream and yell if Deshaun Watson's only suspended for 4 or 8 games all they want. Their yelling's going to do nothing, going to change nothing. Everybody's going to consume the NFL as they always have. The league will not be negatively. They could not suspend Deshaun Watson at all. 0 games, and the league, there would be, in my opinion, there would be 0 negative effect to the league financially. Maybe, some people would complain about it, but ultimately there'd be almost nobody that would stop watching football because of it. That's the reality. The league would lose no money, and so the whole thing's a farce at this point. I don't buy that the league really wants to come down on him hard. I don't think they will ultimately.
It's all for optics.
I think so.
Brad?
Well, I've said this for a long time, that this has been on a collision course since the beginning, right? And so the NFL has one position to take, and it's going to be this hard hammer they're going to try to drop on tomorrow. And then Watson's position is going to be that, no, let's go back and bring in the other factors here. So let's talk about the other factors, right? Watson, as I said before, this is in the middle of the game. The game hasn't even ended yet, right? So they're going to make a decision beforehand. So that now you got some cards that are going to be played. This is less about Watson as it relates to the NFL Players Association. I think it's more about the other players because there's some grievances here, right? Because from the player side, players feel like the league has not been a true just player here, right? There's some grievances held on other cases. There were players that felt like they were maligned in the system, right? The system worked against them, right? And if the NFL tees this thing up, right, this is what's going to come to the forefront. They're going to be the ones advocating behind the scenes because they want some justice. And I was telling G. Bush off the scene, the NBA used to be like that. When I first got in the NBA, it was just like that. Yes, the owners had total control over everything, and you know it has changed. But it took us a while to get there. And it changed for the fact that you just wanted some equity here, right? Fairness here. And I'm not sure the way this thing is situated in today's hearing or tomorrow's hearing, there's equity here, right? You can't tell me that you give Sue Robinson a chance to be the judge here, because she should be the arbitrator here, right? Well, she make a decision. I don't like decisions. And guess who it comes back to? It comes back to Goodell, right? So who's really running the show?
Yeah, the hierarchy seems like it's a bent playing field from the very beginning.
Yeah. And then you talk about this. You think about the other pressure she's under. Here's an African American woman that's a judge, right?
Sure.
Adjudicated case against an African American man, right? So she's got some external pressure, whether true or not true, or real or perceived. It's sitting out here, right? They're like,
I think it's real.
You're gonna do this, huh? Right? So you've got some other factors here that are going to come into play here, and I'm very interested to see how far the NFL goes with this, because this could get quite ugly here. And it's been pent up for a while.
And that's where G. Bush is going, and G. Bush, we'll get to you in a second, but we'll go around the horn this way. Jason?
I don't know what to think anymore. I'll be perfectly honest. I've thought all along, I've maintained it was going to be 6 to 8 games. No one ever told me that. That was just my personal opinion based on the fact that he was not put on the exempt list. If it was going to be a year, then why didn't you just put him on the exempt list in the first place? And listen, if it's a year, the Browns look awful in this. Someone had a massive miscalculation, and I think you have to start asking questions of who's going to pay the price for that. It's going to cost somebody their job somewhere. A year is just a disaster for them.
But how, if it went all the way to, because Jimmy Haslam and Dee Haslam said, we're good on this.
Yeah, but my point is somebody made a massive miscalculation, because the Browns...
You can't fire the owner.
No, you can't. When they first made the trade, though, the feeling in the organization was this was not going to be a debilitating type of penalty.
But Jason,
a year is a debilitating type of penalty.
Jason, let me ask you a question. Did they do a miscalculation? Look at his salary for this year.
They gave him $46 million.
So his salary, the first
for year one is $1 million.
Yeah, but they still gave him a $45 million signing bonus.
So, but here, the $1 million, because when I see that, it tells me that somebody anticipated that this thing could give me the long range.
Well, isn't that a safety net, though?
It's a suspension. But a 6-game suspension or 8-game suspension is a lot different than an entire year.
There's no question.
They could look at 6 or 8 games.
This
and
organization is thrown into neutral if this is for 1 year. The whole organization.
Yeah.
And they're built to win now.
I would argue reverse if this is a year.
You've
lost
you
an
could be
entire
right.
year.
No, you could be
on
right.
A team built
because
to
the clock
play
keeps ticking on everybody else.
That's exactly right.
Which brings me back to my thing. My man's Mayfield under center here.
That's not happening.
Well, we're going to talk about that. Hold on to that thought.
If the league really wants a year, they can get a year, because I would be, first of all, would anyone else be flabbergasted if Sue Robinson rules no punishment? I would be.
I'll be stunned if she does.
It would be stunning.
I'd be stunned.
There was no way she could even get that. She couldn't even get that off.
So once that door's open, the NFL can change it to whatever they want.
Because then Goodell will
if they
settle the dispute.
This is what I've been talking
That's
about.
What I'm
this
saying.
game has been playing for a while.
If they really want a year, they're
the
going to
still
get,
rigged.
If they want a year, they're going to get a year. If they truly want a year,
now
they're
let me
going
ask
to
you
get
this though, Jay, because the NFLPA has already intimated that this would happen.
Right.
Even if Goodell issues a year, is the NFLPA out of options?
I believe they can appeal at that point. I don't know what good it's going to do, and that's why I'm saying, like, this is such.
Well,
they
want to sling mud, don't they? They want to show inconsistency between the owner's punishments and the players.
And if Sue Robinson wants the NFL to start showing its cards in terms of past investigations on Daniel Snyder, on Robert Kraft, on some of this stuff, that could cause the NFL to back off, because the NFL does not like showing their notes.
But they know that's coming.
Anything.
I mean, Jerry.
Well,
to be fair,
they
did boot Jerry Richardson. I mean, they did boot him.
But I'm
just
but
the other 3 prominent owners who have had clouds over their heads,
Absolutely.
and the public looked at the final outcome of those investigations and said, "Wait a minute, what?
Nothing happened.
How has this happened?
Nothing happened to Daniel. The fact that they say he's suspended is absurd. His wife's running the team.
The fact that this is the first such a high-profile, polarizing, energizing case is the first one under the system.
Yeah.
I don't think the NFL ever could have predicted that, because this is a wild case to be the first
with
one
a ton of attention,
with a new system in place. I don't think anyone really knows how this is going to go. That's why I'm saying, like, I've said all along, 6 to 8 games. I am starting to question if I was low on that, only because if the league really is pushing for a year, I don't see how they don't get it.
Let me ask you this, because this is what I thought when I heard the news on Friday. Is it possible the fix is already in? And here's what I mean by that. We know that they both have big weapons aimed at one another, and they can do a lot of damage to one another. Is it possible the league got in front of all of this and got together with Deshaun Watson and Harden and the Browns, and they got all together in a room and said, here's the script to how this drama is going to play out. We, for public optics, need to look like we're coming down hard. We understand that there were no indictments and you guys are advocating for far less punishment. Here's the script. We come out of the box and say indefinite 1 year. And Deshaun comes out on his side and says, we maintain no wrongdoing. We did nothing wrong. We want nothing. It goes to Sue. Sue recommends 6 games or 8 games, and we find middle ground. If she recommends 8, you guys want 4, we come to 6. Is it possible that all that is written already and they're just going to play this out Tuesday and Friday and whatever?
I would never say never on anything. Obviously, I have no idea. That's a little conspiracy theorist, but anything is possible with this. I just don't believe that you're going to get a U.S. district judge to play along.
I say no to that because here, if you know anything about professional sports and professional owners, especially in the NFL, they want you to know that they are the show. They run the show. It is not a players' league.
So they're not willing to give up any power.
I don't give you nothing. I'm gonna show you who's running this show. I'm running this show. I'm paying the bills, and that's how it's gonna go down.
Gee, you got to get in here.
G's anxious, man. You're twitchy.
I was just chilling. I was listening.
No, I know, but we did this by design because we knew that you're a powder keg ready to go off.
See. So here's how this way. I'm gonna show you the way this plays out in regular court if he gets an indefinite suspension. You got to look at this, man. You take a look, and I brought notes with me. Now, the Players Association says, oh, well, this is how we playing? Let's just go ahead and put all this stuff on the table then. Let me put it all out there, right? Do you know about the racial norming system in NFL, right?
It's been in the media.
When they use testing, it assumes that black patients start with worse cognitive function than whites and other non-blacks, makes it harder for them to show a deficit in quality of award when it comes to concussions, when it comes to any type of cognitive issues.
But that's not new. That's been in the media.
But here's how it works. We throw that in there. Oh, let's talk about Flores. Okay, Brian Flores. Let's read the transcripts of that, right? Here you go. People tell him, we got the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule don't count. Bill Belichick accidentally telling them, oh, don't worry about it. You already got the job.
Yeah.
Put that on the pile right there. Then you go back and say, well, Deshaun Watson, right? If you guys were really interested about really getting done what needs to get done and being tough on this stuff, how's about we just look at regular law? If I'm in a car and you in a car, you decide to rob the bank, right? I was just a getaway guy, right? I don't have to shoot nobody. I didn't have to go in the bank. If he robs the bank and somebody ends up dying inside the bank because of that robbery,
you going to jail too.
I'm going to jail because I'm just as culpable of Jason because I was there. So my point is, if Deshaun Watson is going in front of Sue Robinson, where's the Texans at? Because you're telling me all it takes is an allegation. They're now named in the lawsuit. They're there, right next to Deshaun Watson. So how can you have an investigation when the Texans ain't there and they're named in a lawsuit? That just goes to show you they don't even care about that. So if you're going to say one, and by the way, owners are held to a higher standard. So if he going to court, where's the Texans at? Do they have to answer to anybody? So if I'm going, people don't think this is possible. Forget all that. You said action. We'll take action. And they have recourses. I'm suing the league, and I'm getting an injunction put in, and I'm going all out saying that this is systematic. I'm going to say you got rid of Kaepernick, Flores, look at the CTE and the award letters in terms of disability, and now Deshaun Watson. And you can name all those different things those owners are doing, and guess what? You could find a judge somewhere that says, you know what? Damn it, you know what? We're going to have to pump the brakes because that is the level we'll be talking about. When you talk about it, nobody wants to turn this into a racial issue. But if they push him, and 70% of the players are black, and you're condoning an indefinite suspension, you don't think they're gonna go there? Because it's coming. It's coming. So just realize that if you want to sit here and talk, nobody can refute that. That's irrefutable. If allegations all it takes for you to have to go in front of somebody, well, now the Texans are in the allegations, literally. So Deshaun Watson going, he going. They got to go. You can't have it both ways.
Jason, respond to that. What do you make of that? The fact that now that the Texans are
It's a great point.
named as of 20 minutes ago,
Yeah.
and it's an allegation, but that's all we have against Deshaun Watson. When does the Texans get disciplined? When will the owner be disciplined? When will their hearing be?
Well, it's taken 17 months, 18 months, right, for Deshaun to finally go in front of the NFL.
Yeah.
So do we have to wait a year and a half for the Texans now? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I agree with what you're saying. I don't know that we can name the Texans on Monday and bring them in front of Sue Robinson on Wednesday.
We know it doesn't happen that
It doesn't
fast.
happen
No,
that
but
fast.
the only thing that the difference is Watson was under criminal investigation, right?
Yeah.
That's what held up his going in front.
Well, that
of
was
the-
cleared in March.
right? But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that took a while,
Right.
And then here, I want us to at least come back to this. Here we are again. I tell you, in the beginning of the entire process, basically, right? Somewhere shortly after the beginning. What about the women, right? There was a case that was being adjudicated here, right? So there may be some people out here that still haven't received any justice here, because I'm sure there's some people in here that think that we are not anywhere near the finish line here, right? We're talking about a finality here.
There's still 4 cases pending.
Yes, I'm sure. And here,
civil action.
And here, I don't know. I've said it from the beginning. I don't know what happened here, right? And I said, you won't know until it plays itself out.
And that's why it's
That's
so
the problem.
crazy with giving punishments in the middle of something when you still got all this other information to go. You got 4 more cases, but it's just it's not even a cover up. It's kind of like, this is so disingenuous. It's crazy, because if you really wanted to get everybody out there and be heard, you'd wait.
Gee, how ugly is this gonna get?
Crazy.
It's gonna get real ugly.
Brad, you mentioned last time
Yeah.
when I was in one previously about, let's just put it out there, the black community is going to push back vigorously if this is a substantial suspension.
Well, here, let me tell you something. The black community has been discriminated in the country, the history of this country, too many times to count, right? And so many times we end up just taking a stick because they give it to us, right? And at some point here, it's just like, I'll go to Kaepernick, right? You can't tell me there's a reason why Kaepernick wasn't on the roster, right? This is a rigged game from the beginning. It's been like that for a long time, right? And we always end up swallowing it, right? Well, this time, at some point, we're not swallowing it anymore, right?
Is this it?
We just want.
Is this it?
What we look for in our community is just this: give me fairness, right? I was talking to G backstage. Now, if they had done Jerry Jones and Snyder the right way and adjudicated it the proper way, what would we say, G?
We ain't got nothing to say.
Got on you, right?
Nothing. I'd have been like, well, you see what they did to the owner.
Right.
You thought you could get that? But we have no ground to stand on.
And by the way, in the Daniel Snyder case, there's not really any, like, in Deshaun Watson's case, he is disputing what the women are saying.
Right.
There's no dispute in the Daniel Snyder case. Like, they've admitted as an organization, because Daniel Snyder, or I don't know if it was him specifically, but somebody from the Washington organization, I believe it was Daniel Snyder, recently put out a memo last week saying, hey, we've changed our practices. We've done this. So they're admitting they did things wrong.
I don't know if that's an admission of guilt just because they've put safeguards in to keep anything
But
like
in
that
this-
from happening
in this
again.
memo,
I don't
it
think
said
they've come out specifically and said we were guilty of all the things that we've been accused of. But you're right. I mean, on its surface,
Yeah.
if it's like someone going to counseling that is admitted they didn't do anything
Right.
wrong. That's why Deshaun
If
Watson
anything,
was
they've come
quick to come
closer
out.
to admitting than Deshaun Watson has.
Well, when Deshaun said he's going to counseling, a lot of people were like, "Why are you going to counseling?
Right,
What have you done? You're trying to change?" No, that was misconstrued.
Right.
It was later cleared up. He's going to counseling because he basically is traumatized, and who wouldn't be by everything that's going on around him.
Jay, the question is here. Again, you talk about fairness and equity, right? Here's the deal, and they're not bad words. Here's the deal: the same road you're walking Watson down. Where were these other ones? They didn't get walked down the road.
No.
They didn't do a perp walk here. They didn't do a perp walk.
The only thing we found out really, well, I mean, one of the things that came from the Washington investigation was John Gruden got fired.
That's it.
And I think everybody else was looking and say, okay, wait a minute. So you were looking for one crime,
Right.
investigating one organization, and the collateral damage was a guy who wasn't even employed by the league at the time. So the team was completely clean and free of everything that they were being investigated of?
It's absurd to have an indefinite suspension based solely on allegations.
Jason,
it's absurd.
To that point,
Yeah.
I believe, and there's so much going on, you don't know, you're trying to put together through bits and pieces of different reporting. On one report I read that the league was only able to speak to a small number of the accusers. And then I read somewhere else 5. I don't
To
know.
my knowledge, they've spoken to at least half.
Yeah, I thought it was half.
Half.
At
Okay,
least
I
half.
saw 2 numbers over the weekend. One was 5 and one was a small number of accusers.
It's my belief,
I thought it
based
was
on
half.
conversations, that it was at least half.
thought it
Maybe
was
that's
half.
bad information.
Right.
I just want Daniel Snyder to me is a vile human being. He's unfit to be an owner in the NFL. He should be forced to lose his team. But I want to make sure that some of these allegations, and they are just allegations, but the allegations against Deshaun
They're serious.
are horrific.
They're serious.
Ejaculating on women, this is disgusting.
They're serious.
And I don't want to come on a sports show and diminish some of what's going on against him. And Brad, I agree with what you're saying in terms of how the black community is going to react to this and some of the reasons behind why.
I've been clear and transparent. I got 4 daughters, right? And hell, I wouldn't want none of it to happen if that happened to them, right? I said, but the process has to play itself out. The question is, who has the power here? That's the question. Who has the power? Because if you have a Snyder, a Jerry Jones, and down in Miami, the same.
To answer your question,
who's got the power?
The guy who has the power is the guy that works for all of the
For
owners.
the owners. You don't work for the players. you
And
work for the
so
owners.
we know that there were steps taken by Roger Goodell to make the system appear more equitable. They named a black female as the disciplinary officer. That's nonsense. If you want her to decide these disputes, give her the only and final word.
That's right.
But the
Why in the
players-
world is this opinion
Because it's all
able
for
to
show.
be appealed to Roger Goodell?
Because ultimately it's all for show.
The Players Association agreed to this, though.
I know they did, which I think they got snookered. I do.
Well, in
I think
fairness
they
to the
got
Players
snookered.
Association, though,
What
what
are you
was
gonna
their
do?
other option?
Well, I wouldn't settle.
Well, you don't have to agree to that.
I wouldn't-
What their option
I
was
wouldn't-
let's just not work over
Here,
this
and I'm not,
see
I'm
how
not-
big of an issue
I'm not
this
trying,
is.
I'm not trying to diminish Sue Robinson being a judge, but I wouldn't settle for a patent attorney. I mean, a patent judge.
yeah,
I
that
wouldn't
I
settle
know.
for that.
Let's just be clear about this situation. This is not, and we talked about the black community. This is a microcosm of everyday living. This isn't just set aside. You look at this. According to statistics, since 1973, 53% of people that are on death row are African American. You look at it. Nearly half the people currently on death row are black. You keep going. Half of the 2,947 people exonerated since 1989 have been black. When you talk about it, innocent black people are 7 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted of murder than an innocent white person. It takes even longer to exonerate them when evidence comes forth. 13.8 years, which is 45% more than any other race.
I think, G, the thing you're saying is here. We're not saying that we haven't done some things, right? But I'm saying what we're asking for is the system to work on behalf of
The system's rigged.
Right.
I think everybody on this panel can admit and agree to the fact that when you have the man who works for the owners being the final voice on disciplinary issues, even those involving the owners, I said this Friday, you literally have the employee dispensing punishment to his boss.
And
How do
all
you
the
think
bosses
that's
are
gonna
rich
go?
white billionaires
How is that
who
gonna
don't
go?
have to follow the same rules as the rest of us.
Let me tell you, in my other professional capacity, what happens, right? When there's a dispute, it goes to arbitration. There's an arbiter, right? We both agree on who the arbiter will be, right?
Right.
And at the end of that case, whether I guess a union or not, what happens at the end of the case, that arbiter has a render of a decision.
And their word's final.
And that's final, right? And I walked away a few times mad as hell, right? That it didn't go my way. But that's how the system.
You have to accept
That's
it.
how the system works, right?
But to G's point, this system is rigged. And if anybody thinks that the Players Association or Deshaun Watson is going to walk away from this, if the commissioner gets the last word and it's not to their liking, and they're not going to do anything about it, I think you've said this all along. Both sides have nuclear codes.
Watson and the Players Union have to take this to court if they're not satisfied.
I think Tim Couch is going to come on and weigh in.
He's on now. Tim,
Let's see Tim.
Welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I don't know how much of what we've discussed here you've been able to listen to, but obviously the big news is tomorrow is the big day. That's when Roger Goodell and the NFL will get to pitch their side, and Deshaun Watson and the NFLPA will get to plead their case, and then ultimately Sue Robinson will decide. How do you see this whole thing playing out?
Well, I think you guys said it exactly right. You guys have hit on all the points. I know the NFL is pushing for a year suspension from what I'm hearing, but, I'm thinking it's going to be more 6 to 8 games, somewhere in that range. We'll see. It's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. And, it's a lot of drama around it. And, it'll be an interesting day tomorrow to see what comes out of this thing.
What would surprise you, Tim? What would, at the end of this, despite what happens tomorrow, when the final issue is made public from Roger Goodell, if this thing gets appealed, what would surprise you as too few games or too many?
I think a full season would surprise me. I think that's very stiff. I think the guy he didn't play at all last year. 6 to 8 games is a long time to miss and set out. So I think if they actually gave him a full season suspension, I think that would be pretty surprising to me. I don't really see that happening. I think it'll be a little less than that. But like I said, we'll see what happens, and it's definitely going to be interesting.
Tim, let me ask you a question, and this is player to player here, right? I remember how the NBA players were. How do the NFL players feel about how the system is set up against them in the NFL? How do you feel? Because I know when the NBA had a problem, we band together. We walked, right? We walked, right? And that's how the tide started to turn in the NBA, because we walked, right? How do the football players feel?
I think very similar. I think guys will rally around Deshaun. Especially his teammates. From what I've heard, he's been nothing but a great teammate so far since he's been to Cleveland. He's trying to get himself involved in the community. He's out there. He's not hiding. He's answering questions. After practice. He's said what he has to say. I think his teammates will rally around him. I think it's the same in every sport, football or basketball, baseball, whatever. I think guys will walk together, and guys will support Deshaun and, try to get him through this. I know it's an extremely tough situation. I can't imagine, what he's going through. It's got to be, demoralizing. It's got to be embarrassing. It's got to be a lot of things for him. But, I think his teammate and support system he has around him will be huge for him. And, getting him back on track, getting him in the right mindset and getting him ready to play some football when the suspension's over.
Tim, how much of a challenge do you think it is? And I don't even know if you know for sure because it's such a unique circumstance. But like as the team is preparing for the season, I guess in a way it may be like similar to an injury, I guess, in terms of like you're preparing this offense, and Jacoby Brissett, who's most likely going to be the Week 1 quarterback, it doesn't have anywhere close to the same type of skill that Deshaun Watson has. How tough is that on the other players? Mentally preparing, physically preparing, OTAs, training camp, eventually, not knowing who your quarterback's going to be?
I think it's extremely tough. I think that's a great point. As they're going through these practices and they're seeing Deshaun Watson out on the practice field and they're seeing what he's capable of doing, it's amazing. The guy's a phenomenal football player, and they're thinking, we're going to be this type of offense with Deshaun in the game, but he's not going to be there. Obviously we don't know how long that's going to be, how long period of time that's going to be. So, like you said, Jacoby is a completely different player. They're not going to be able to do quite the same things that they're able to do with Deshaun, but I think he is a serviceable guy. I think he can go out and manage the offense. He's not going to be as dynamic by far as Deshaun is, but he can control the ball. He can take care of the football in the passing game. He can get you in and out of the right plays at the line of scrimmage. He's a veteran guy. He's started games in this league. He's won games in this league. So I think they can win with him. It's obviously going to be much more relying on the running game and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and those guys. And, it's one of the best running attacks in the NFL. So, really they're probably just going to ask him not to do too much, just not lose the game. They're going to rely on a great run game and playing good defense.
Tim, I think when they signed Jacoby Brissett, they did so with the understanding that he was going to have to win some games for them in the short term. If this turns out to be a year, we're a month out from training camp. There's time to pivot.
Right.
Do they need to go get another quarterback?
I think, it all depends on how they feel about Jacoby and what they've seen from him. And if they've seen, what they were hoping to see when they brought him in. If they really believe in him, then, that's going to be your guy, depending on, no matter if it's, 6 games, 8 games, or a full season. If you believe in Jacoby, then, you go ahead and you put him out there and you believe in him and let him do his thing. But, if you haven't seen everything you've wanted to see so far through the camps and the OTAs, then sure, you have time to go out and get a quarterback. Absolutely. There's some guys out there that you could go get, you could trade for, you could do whatever. But, I think it's, it's all about, it depends on how the coaching staff feels about Jacoby and if they think he's the right fit for the system.
Tim, you were in Cleveland when you were quarterback. You had some times where you were splitting reps with another guy and kind of sharing, figuring it out. And you talked about it earlier, how difficult that was to kind of get a rhythm, understand, to get in the huddle, and the guys, have faith that you are going to come in and do what you need to do. In the case that Deshaun Watson gets suspended for a year, or he gets suspended for a substantial amount of time, 8 games, in the preseason, do you think the Browns should give Jacoby Brissett all the reps to get him ready, or should they play Deshaun Watson some, because he hasn't played in a year, and in 8 games he's going to play? But do you kind of sacrifice a little bit of Jacoby Brissett's reps if you're giving it to Deshaun Watson, and you got to get him ready to play in the first 8 games? What is the mix with that? Where do you think they should go?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think, for me, I would want to get Deshaun some reps just because he hadn't played, like you said, all last season. So this is a guy who's, he needs to get up to speed. He needs some game reps. You can be on the practice field all you want, but there's nothing like getting out there in the actual game and taking some hits and feeling the pressure, feeling the blitz, reading coverages, getting rid of the football. So I would give him a little, some reps in the preseason, but obviously, you have to, give.
I think we lost his mic.
Tim, your mic, you muted yourself. Let's see if we get Tim back.
I think we mute. Yeah,
he got it. I think he might have hit the wrong button there.
All right, Tim's gonna figure that out. He's gonna workshop it. His video didn't go.
While we're waiting for him to get that up, we can almost transition to a point that we were going to talk about anyhow, and that's, you say, is there time to pivot and go get another quarterback? We know that this has been a hot issue here locally. Most of the media says absolutely not. This is not going to happen. But again, we see Mike Florio write on, I believe yesterday, that if the bridge between Baker Mayfield and the Browns hadn't been completely torched, there could have been a scenario where they brought Baker back, even gave him more money, signed him to just rip up, hit the last year of his contract, give him more money, promise that you're not going to pick up the franchise tag, so he knows it's a one-and-done situation. He thought that could have happened, and really doesn't even completely dismiss the chance that is possible. What do we make on that report? Because
I make the Florio, as usual, is wrong.
We buried that a while ago, I thought.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't bury it.
No, I didn't either. But most everybody in the most everybody in the media has completely trounced that idea. But to your point, Jay, if you're saying, should they go out and get another guy? So if you were to make a list, and you're the Browns, of all of the potential quarterbacks that you could get, and you put them down on a piece of paper, and throw all of them in there, including Baker Mayfield, might Baker Mayfield be the best option? I mean, who's better than
Garoppolo would be the best option.
at that price tag?
I'll take Garoppolo.
$25 million.
I think he would.
The Browns.
You've been saying Baker was better.
I think Baker is a little more talented than Jimmy Garoppolo.
But you're going to pay.
I'd rather have, in this situation, I would much rather have Jimmy Garoppolo, because he's already shown that he could take a talented roster and get them far in the playoffs. Baker hasn't shown that. Jimmy Garoppolo's shown that and done it twice.
I know. It's just odd to me that you insist that Baker is the better quarterback.
He is,
but you
but
would
not
take
for this
Garoppolo at $7 million more.
Yeah, the money's irrelevant. It's 1 year.
You'd pay $7 million more to a guy that you don't think is as good as this.
Well, I wouldn't trade for Garoppolo. I probably wouldn't trade for, I would just go with Jacoby Brissett. If Watson's out for the whole year, the Browns are probably not going to the playoffs anyway, even with Jimmy Garoppolo or Baker or any of them, in my opinion, because the AFC is so loaded. But
I don't think you can throw your hands up and say,
I
"Well,
don't
sorry
either.
guys, we
Okay,
tried."
fine.
It's a bad look to the fans.
So
It's a bad
since
look
you
to
can't
guys
do
like
that,
Jadeveon Clowney,
You aren't
then
kidding.
I think Garoppolo is the best fit for this team.
I think what Bull's saying, Baker Mayfield, as far as arm strength, arm talent, he can make some nice throws. When he's on, he's on. You can't take that away from him. The problem with Baker is when he's off, you almost have no chance to win. I look at 2 or 3 games. The New England Patriots game, he threw for 71 yards. He threw 4 picks against the Green Bay Packers. The defense against the Baltimore Ravens had 5 turnovers, and you couldn't get on the board. And those games, Baker, when he's on, he's
his best is better than Garoppolo's
top
best.
10,
Yes.
yes.
But Garoppolo's not going to screw it up.
He's not going to throw 4 or 5 picks.
He's done that. Jimmy's has screwed up games before.
Not 5 picks, not 4
No,
picks.
maybe not 5 picks, but
Yeah.
he's thrown some critical interceptions late in
Sure,
games.
and so
James,
is
am I
Baker.
imagining
Yeah,
that?
and so is
No,
Baker.
No,
He
but you're
has,
saying
yeah.
Jimmy's not going to screw it up.
Not
There's
as
a body of
consistently
evidence
as
that
Baker.
shows he has screwed it up.
But this is why this is so complicated, because I've had multiple conversations with people in the Browns, and if it wasn't Deshaun, it was going to be Baker. They were not interested in Jimmy. Like, Jimmy's been out there,
Yep.
and it was made very clear to me they like Baker better in a vacuum.
Right,
Before
exactly.
all of this.
Yes, of
I
course.
don't see any way to mend this at this point with Baker. So you may be forced to go. As an organization, you may like Jimmy less than Baker, but I don't personally, I don't think you can go into a season
Right.
thinking Jacoby Brissett is going to take every snap all year long, and you're a player.
That to me is a white flag.
I
If Jacoby's the week 1 starter and he's going to be the guy for the year, they're waving the white flag.
I have a guy under contract, and you must excuse me because I must be the only old school guy here because the owners I know really wouldn't care, right?
Feelings be damned.
I've got
You're under
Mayfield- I got
contract.
Mayfield under contract, right? And I'm in need, right? And if they hammer me tomorrow, I'm not gonna send up smoke signals, right? I got somebody in the hole here, right? And he got to come here when I say come or sit home and get no money, right? And if you do that, you screw yourself going forward for next year.
To your point, Baker requested a trade and they denied it.
How many people in any sport ever requested a trade? I want out of here.
No, it happens.
and,
It happens.
and what they say, Jason?
But I think
you
your
going
point,
nowhere,
your
son.
point
Sit
is
right
a very,
here.
I think your point's a very good one. In the old school, you had a contract. You were going to honor that contract. The Browns are in need. More so than when they traded for Deshaun Watson because they didn't think that this was going to turn into a
I think
Jay-
Garoppolo
so
gives this
Jay-
team a better chance to win than
Jay,
Baker.
it's
This
not even
team.
that
But Garoppolo's not under contract.
Jay, it's not even that you're going to honor the contract.
Let's bring Tim
I
Kelly
think
They
back.
have you over the,
Tim is back.
head with that, right? And they said,
Right.
no, you're coming.
Yeah, in the old days, that's how it worked. Tim,
got Tim.
Tim, what do you think about all of this?
I think that I don't see any way possible that Baker's going to come back and play. You know, we all know Baker Mayfield, and he can hold a grudge, you know, pretty well. So, you know, we've seen him hold grudges going all the way back to college from media members that have said this about him or that about him, and he'll go back and forth, man. And he's an emotional guy. So, you know, I think that the bridge has already been burned between him and the Browns. Baker said what he had to say about the Browns. He feels mistreated. The Browns have said some things about Baker as well. So I don't think there's any way he ever suits up for the Browns again. I think he's willing to set out the season no matter what. You know, unfortunately, I would love to see him come back and play if Deshaun is suspended for the year and just say, you know what, I'm going to be the bigger person here. I'm going to be a professional. I'm going to come out and I'm going to show that I'm healthy. I'm going to prove to another team that I'm capable of being a franchise quarterback. And I'd go out and play, try to play, show that I can play at a very high level. But I just don't see Baker making that decision and being willing to play for
Well,
the
the
Browns.
Browns have to agree to that
Tim,
for that to happen.
Tim, this is here. You know this well, Tim. They have said that before in this town. I watched LeBron James walk out of here, and he was never coming back here, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
at the end, when it all came to,
He came
to the
back.
cut, he walked back through this door.
That was after 4 years,
Yeah,
not 4 months.
And Baker was LeBron.
Now, Tim, I got a hypothetical here because I want to get into the insight of a quarterback, right? Because you can say you're going to trade an offensive lineman and he ain't got no recourse. It's different. You guys are the ones throwing the ball. You're the face of the team. You go back to the Kelly Holcomb situation. He comes in, he plays in that Pittsburgh game. They lose you guys lose a heartbreaker in the Pittsburgh game, right? In the offseason, hypothetically, they come to you and say, Tim, we're going to ride with Kelly Holcomb. We're going to trade you. We're going to try to get you out of here and get you to another place. They say it, and then they go about making him the number one guy. Something happens. All of a sudden, they can't use Kelly anymore. Would you then come back, or would you say, nah, man, you had already traded me. I thought you went in a different direction. I'm ready for a new start. How would you handle that? Because I want to know the psyche of a quarterback and how that affects you when they say you're no longer good enough for us.
Right. Well, that's pretty much what happened to me, honestly. The year we went to the playoffs, I started all the games, most of the games. I missed a couple, with injury or whatever. But, I broke my leg in the last game of the year that we had to win against the Falcons to get into the playoffs in like the second or third quarter of that game. So, and then, Kelly plays a great game against Pittsburgh in the playoffs, and we come in the next year. And obviously, I think I'm going to be the starting quarterback. I finally just, got this franchise to the playoffs, and I think we're heading in the right direction. And Butch Davis tells me, we're going to go in a different direction. I've got a gut feeling that Kelly's the guy. He's going to be this and that. So, for me, that was a punch in the gut. I just felt like betrayed by the organization that I'd been with from day one since 1999 when they came back as the expansion team. And now I finally got us to where we wanted to go. And an injury set me back, but I'm ready to go. I'm healthy. And he's telling me I'm not going to be the starter. So it was very, very tough for me to sit in those quarterback meeting rooms and say I'm going to prepare like I could be in the game at any point. If Kelly goes down or if they make a decision going another direction, it is a very, very awkward situation to be in that room. And Kelly and I are good friends. We're still good friends this day. But, when you're competing with someone for the same job and a coach is, going back and forth week in and week out about you're the guy this week, you're the guy this week, and even sometimes within the same game, rotating quarterbacks in and out, it gets very, very frustrating. And, it definitely takes a toll on you mentally. And, but for me, I would be willing to go out and play. That's what I did that season. My number was called, I went out and played. I played started a Sunday night game against the Steelers. If you remember, we beat the Steelers 33-13 or whatever it was on a Sunday night game. And I went out and played well in that game. So I had to prepare myself like I was going to be the starter, even though emotionally I was pretty frustrated with the organization.
But Tim's an adult.
That's the difference between Tim Couch and Baker Mayfield.
And Baker is not.
And Tim's not saying this. I'm saying this. Tim got screwed by the organization.
Yeah,
Baker did not get screwed by they put nothing around him. They had no protection for him. That was one of, if not the worst offensive line we've ever seen. That's not the case with Baker. None of those things are true with Baker.
No, but he still feels like he was disrespected.
Yeah. Right.
Because like Tim, he got the franchise to the playoffs after a long drought. And so Tim is the perfect guy to answer this. But you've made this point very clearly. Tim is an adult.
Yes.
Baker holds grudges.
Yes.
That was Tim's first point. He remembers the names of media guys in Oklahoma that asked him questions he doesn't like.
Look, he's doing this show. He shows up in Cleveland. He would have every reason. We would all understand if Tim felt bitter about the Browns, hated Cleveland, all these things. Instead, it's the opposite.
Yeah, because he's an adult. And let me ask you specifically about Brad's point that, look, there's a contract here. And really, the Browns hold Baker's future in their hands.
Right.
And so Baker may think he has the power, but at the end of the day, he's under contract to play for the Browns. And if the Browns said to him, we're going to pay you what we owe you and we expect you to be here for training camp because now we do have a need and you're under contract, we'll see you in July. What then?
It's going to get real interesting, man. I tell you, it's going to be that would definitely build some drama. I think, I think for Baker,
hard knocks.
Yeah, exactly. Hard knocks would be perfect for this. But I think as far as the team goes, I just look at it from a standpoint of his teammates. I think the guys on the team still respect Baker. Guys like Nick Chubb has said things about how he respects Baker as a teammate. I think all the guys appreciate Baker and will welcome him back. It just comes down to can Baker do it? Can he mentally get himself to the point where he says, you know what, I'm going to let last year be last year. We're going to move on. I got 1 year here. I understand that. I'm going to go out and play the best football I can for this team, and I'm going to try and get us to the playoffs and show everybody that I'm a franchise quarterback again. And that way, when this year is over, I can go wherever I want. There'll be teams knocking down the door to sign me.
That's what you should look at it.
Well, here,
if I take that's my mindset. If they call me to come back, I'm coming back, and I'm coming back with a mission to be the best quarterback I can be.
And there's 18 million reasons.
Let me tell you something. In this business as a player in any professional sports, there's going to be a day where they come knock on your door and tell you you're not the guy anymore. For me, it was when they knocked on the door and said, Scotty, it's the guy, you out. What do you mean I'm out? We just went to the playoffs. No, you're out. What do you mean I'm out? So, Tim, I understand exactly how you feel, right? Like, what do you mean? I started most of the games of the season. They're like, you're not starting these playoffs. Well, you come off the bench in these playoffs, even if you get in.
Wouldn't that be the ultimate walk-off home run for Baker Mayfield, though, if he came back, got his $18 million, used the year as a chance to show the other 31 teams that he can do this, and take this team deep into the playoffs and then say, my guys, I'm out.
You have to be a professional here, right? This is not the little league.
We just talked about not punting the season. You've got to get the quarterback that's best for them to win. It's not him.
If he does that, see, we missing it here. If they bring him back and he takes this team anywhere near past the divisional round, right? Say you get to the AFC Championship game. Deshaun Watson is on an indefinite suspension. Do you believe people in this town would let Baker Mayfield get on a horse and get up out of here when they got a quarterback who ain't got no equity?
Then he has the power.
Then you do whatever he wants. Then they would have to go back and offer Baker more money, and it would be the biggest thing.
Listen to what we're saying here. We've gone way off the hypothetical bridge.
But you know what this becomes? My friend knows this.
Still a chance.
Let me tell you what this becomes. The Bronx Zoo. The Yankees are.
Yeah.
This is what this becomes.
All that's missing is George Steinbrenner.
Yeah.
Tell him, ask Tim. If you ask that question, Tim, if Baker comes back, he gets him to the AFC Championship game. It's a couple plays away, but he plays his tail off, right? He has no more contract.
Screw it. They go to the Super Bowl.
All right,
let's just go all in on this hypothetical fun day.
Do the Cleveland Browns move on for Baker Mayfield if he does that in the scenario of you say he come back?
Well, I think no matter how well Baker plays, they're too financially committed to Deshaun Watson to even consider Baker Mayfield. $230 million guaranteed. They're going to put Deshaun Watson on the field at some point whenever he's allowed to be out there. So I think for Baker, it's just, he has to look at this as, he's doing it for himself. Obviously he's going out to play for the team, but he's setting himself up for the future and trying to get on another team because this is Deshaun Watson's football team whenever he's off the suspension.
Tim, the Browns are throwing Baker Mayfield a bone. You don't always get a bone here.
They're not, though. They don't want to throw him a bone, and he doesn't want the bone.
Baker is never taking another stop for the Browns.
That's it.
It's not happening. Oh, my God in heaven. What are we
I've been trying to say that for 2 months.
That'll be clipped. Don't worry. That'll be
Because with the Browns, the one thing I learned a long time ago.
You're going to take me to the steak dinner.
The more obvious
you're going to take me out for a steak dinner.
That's a deal.
You're going to take me out for a steak dinner.
Lifelong fan. Seen it all. The one thing I've learned with this franchise
Never say never.
The more obvious something appears, the more likely it is to not go that way.
I think Colin Kaepernick should be their starting quarterback. Let's go down that road.
No, I'm straight.
You don't want Colin?
No,
why not?
No, they ain't played in 10 years. That's the worst thing to have. No.
Boom!
I will say, though, that would be, talk about the ratings. That makes my life easier. You let Baker Mayfield come in here and start winning some games while Deshaun Watson is suspended. Bro, renew the contract now. Cleveland Sports, go ahead and do it.
If you imagine a quarterback room with Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, Colin Kaepernick, and whoever else.
Tim Tebow.
Tebow, Baker, Kaepernick, Watson. Yeah.
See,
the ratings out the
Can we
window.
get
Sign us to a lifetime contract
for Jason?
right now.
And Ryan Leaf, get him in there, too.
You need to get the close tequila back here, or bourbon, or whatever it was.
I look at
need a
Jason,
drink.
right? And I guess I'm tainted, right? I was on the bad boy Pistons, right?
Yeah.
That locker room was a mess, right? A mess. But when they hit the floor,
They won.
Yeah, they won.
it was different.
Yep.
But afterwards,
Well, you talk about the Bronx, too. There were Yankees
it's a
teams.
mess.
The manager was fighting the star.
Yeah.
Reggie and Billy were
Martin.
throwing hands in the dugout, but they won. They won.
Man, it's rough.
Tim, who do you? I still believe that if you did trade, I think Jimmy Garoppolo, of all the available options, if Deshaun was suspended for a year, actually gives them the best chance to have success because listen, I don't know that he's the most talented quarterback on the face of the earth, but he has shown you with San Francisco that if you put talent around him, he can find a way to win games. He's done it. You look at the Niners since he's been there. When he plays, they win. When he doesn't, they lose.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he's probably the best available if you're going to go that route of bringing in a guy. I think he's proven he can win football games, as you said. He's a very good player in my opinion. I think he's probably not as good as Baker. I agree with you. On the high end when Baker's playing at his best, I think Baker's probably a better quarterback. But I think Jimmy would be, if you brought him into this situation with the type of running game the Browns have, that offensive line, Jimmy Garoppolo can win football games without question in Cleveland if you want to go down that road.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, but he would be a great option if they wanted to go that road.
Jay, correct me if I'm wrong. He's owed 25. His cap hit, I think, would be 26. The Browns could renegotiate his deal, couldn't they?
It's not all guaranteed, I don't think.
No, I don't think it is either.
Yeah.
But I think his cap hit is 25.
I don't see what's the benefit to him to renegotiate.
Well,
because he knows it's a 1-year stopgap for him in that scenario.
Sure.
So I don't know.
Just like Baker, though, he'd have a great supporting cast to go prove to another team that he's
if he got to start for the
as a
Browns the whole year, he's not going to get a better option than that Garoppolo.
I agree, but I don't know what his incentive would be to give money back. Because he doesn't know when he's sort of like Baker. He doesn't know when his next big payday's coming.
No, but it'd be a long-term play, and it would be like betting on yourself, like Joe Flacco did with the Ravens. He rolled the dice and won a Super Bowl.
McNuggets, like you got something?
Yeah, I do. We're going to do a little change of pace real quick.
Okay.
But staying on topic, but I just want to change what Airfoils is sponsoring today. They're still going to sponsor what the internet is saying. And as always, if you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils at Eastlake, Mentor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up. Plus, get a full paid benefit package, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. And my question today.
PCC.
My question today is what Florio actually presented in that article. We didn't touch on this yet, and I'm curious what you guys' take and Tim's take is. He said if Baker was to come back, they would guarantee him a little more money this year and then promise not to tag him next year, so it's a clean break.
Right.
Is that – I know Jason just screamed into the microphone, broke his second mic in 3 weeks on the set, but
Sorry,
it's the
guys.
second time he's done that. But is that even remotely a possibility? And that's kind of what the whole Florio article was premised and based on.
You've answered it. Hell no.
I'm refusing
What is the internet saying?
The internet says, why is the national media continuing to push this storyline down our throats?
See, we talked about that in our chain. Jason, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think the national media pushes a narrative. I think they're writing about things they're hearing.
Well, I'm talking to some same people, and I'm not getting the impression Baker's ever walking back in that building.
It's crazy. See, this is the thing. It's even nuts. If you just said he was coming back, that's demonstrably false. But he's saying, offer him a little bit more money.
That's ridiculous.
I said, why would you? We can't get. They don't think he's worth $10 million, let alone $20 million. Yeah, give him a little more. Florio said.
That's pretty much blood money.
I wouldn't offer him nothing.
We know you're mad at us.
Crazy.
We know you're mad at us. We'll give you the promise that we're not going to franchise you, and we'll throw more money at you. If they throw $3 more million,
Why would they have to make that promise? There'd be no chance they franchise him anyway.
They don't have to give him $1 more.
You know why they'd have to? Because if he did come back and play, and he did take them deep in the playoffs, the Browns then could look at trying to void Watson's contract and then franchising Baker.
Yeah.
If you tell him you're not going to franchise him and you assure him of that, Baker knows it's a one-and-done situation. I get a chance with a really good supporting cast to show that I can do this in the NFL and perhaps get that long-term deal. Or you can go to Carolina, win 4 games, and then be relegated as captain clipboard.
I don't know. Personally, I think we beat this to death and there's nothing there.
Have we McNuggets, how are we doing? Have we beat it to death and there's nothing there, or are people watching
I
us?
think with the Baker stuff, we have some trade proposals we were going to save for later. Do we just want to do those now? And
sure.
And maybe Tim can give the opinion on who's got the best trade proposal.
Yeah,
Tim, do you mind sticking around for 2-3 extra minutes?
You're the GM of the Browns.
Yeah, sure. Be glad to.
Judge Tim.
Yeah.
We're all going to give trade proposals, and we're going to let you, as the GM, pick which one you want. Sound good?
Okay. All right.
And let me preface this real quick. Some of these very serious.
Yeah.
Some of these very not serious.
Well,
so
Tim
put on your creative hat.
Already.
And
None more serious. I am
100%
100% serious with mine, by the way.
Yes,
100%.
but we'll start with Jay and Jason.
Jason, I'll let you pitch it. We have the same trade proposal.
Well, we've been talking about it all morning. Straight up, Jimmy Garoppolo for Baker Mayfield. I just think this makes a lot of sense both ways. Jimmy G, it's a 1-year deal, comes in. And my thought behind this is if it's a year suspension for Deshaun. Now you've got a guy in Jimmy G who can get you to the playoffs. You're still a contender in the AFC. Baker gets a fresh start in San Francisco. Maybe he wins a starting job there. It doesn't sound like Trey Lance is ready. He may have a very long and productive career. I think this makes a lot of sense for both sides. And it sort of absolves each other of their headache that they have.
Yeah, and I co-sign all of that. We did not talk about this. That was the exact trade that I had put together too. So Tim, sit on that while G. Bush pitches his.
I like that. I would do that deal though.
Oh, even over yours?
No, mine's is much better. But
Oh, look at that. Very in depth here.
Oh, look at G. Bush.
So here's what we're gonna do, man. I like the fact that Teddy Bridgewater to me is a little more reputable than Jacoby Brissett. I like him a little more, and there's questions with the tackle. So Conklin's hurt. Wills he was hurt last year, but he got to step it up. So give me Greg Little, can play right side or left side, and be a swing tackle. You also get Teddy Bridgewater. Dolphins would then get Baker Mayfield, and I'll give them the 5th round pick that we got from the Rams from the Troy Hill deal. That'll sweeten it, but they got to take all 18
That seems like
million.
a fleecing. Why would Miami do that?
Yeah, I don't know that Miami would do that. I think that
Well, here the reason
they're
why,
all in on Tua still.
now.
So they don't want Baker.
I don't think
that's today.
Yeah.
You got Tyreek Hill, you got Jalen Waddle. If they come out here in the Dolphins and you can't hit Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle,
Well, Teddy Bridgewater.
I don't think Teddy Bridgewater's any better than Brissett, personally.
But I believe that Baker Mayfield is better than Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah,
I agree.
I just think the Dolphins would hang up the phone halfway through that.
Well, hey, man, it all depends on how I feel about Tua.
There you go.
Well, mine is a little tongue-in-cheek. I think the scenario is what I told you it is. I said if this was Jerry Reinsdorf for the Bulls, Baker Mayfield would be under center. There would be no question he'd be under center. Right? No question at all. He'd be under center. So let's get
knock off Louis Vuitton, not even the real thing.
let's get to
Louis Vuitton. He wants the knockoff stuff.
Let's get to the game here, right? Baker Mayfield has been so devalued. You'll be lucky to get 2 4th-round picks from him. So
there's no chance to get that.
And so I say trade him to Seattle, and then we can go down to the Pike Street Market and throw us a couple fish.
Okay,
yeah, all right.
sure.
Get a couple fish, and then we go uptown. There goes some knockoff Louis Vuitton luggage. That's what the trade is for Baker Mayfield.
All right.
Now,
that one was not serious, right, McNuggets?
Tim,
you said one of them wasn't serious.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, wait till you
Tim,
see the next one.
Tim, you gotta like that, baby.
Listen, Tim.
I like it.
I got you taken care of here. These guys have all embarrassed themselves with these trade offers. Let's get to the only trade offer, the only team that wants Baker. The Ottawa Rough Riders.
That's serious.
Excuse me, the Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
There are
The
2 Rough
Canadian
Riders.
Football League.
There are 2 Rough Riders.
Here's what we're getting in return. Unlimited Labatt Blue. Okay? Labatt Blue is just a good version of all the American beers like Bud Light and Coors. Labatt Blue, much better. A 5-year supply of poutine and all the concessions. I had poutine for the first time ever Friday night celebrating my first anniversary with my wife. It was amazing. It blew me away. We need to improve security at Browns games. So we need 3 Canadian Mounties.
With the horses.
And 1 moose. The Browns are short at defensive tackle. Now, there's no more good players left out there at defensive tackle. So let's just get a moose.
My man is the winner.
Let's go. Throw him in there.
He's the winner.
Tim, who wins? Which trade you taking?
Some interesting offers there, but I'm going to have to go with Garoppolo
Oh,
straight up for
Of
Baker.
course. Absolutely he is.
Although the Mounties and a moose would be nice to have.
Tim, you ain't want the Louis? Come on,
No.
man. You ain't want the knockoff?
that Louis Vuitton got a size 16 font. That would be as big as hell. Ain't no,
Can we do a 3-way deal to get the fish and the moose?
Yeah, I know. That would be nice. I think that's what we all propose. Does anybody want to throw out there what they think will happen? Because I think he's going to Carolina.
I think he's going to get traded to Seattle for a 6th or 7th round pick. That's what I think is going to happen.
I think it's Seattle, too. I think Pete Carroll's looking at that and saying,
I'm a Seattle guy,
guy.
and if I'm moving him out my way so I don't have to see him in the line of sight anymore.
Yeah,
right?
you don't want to see him in week 1.
Right.
Seattle has the worst quarterback situation in the NFL.
Yeah,
it's
works.
bleak. It's pretty bleak.
I don't really understand why they like. For me, if I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan, I don't understand why they wouldn't be on them to say, "Hey,
It's a free look. It's a 1-year look. See what you can
It
get.
costs you
Absolutely.
nothing."
All right, Tim, listen, thanks for putting up with our shenanigans. I mean, I'm sorry you had to hear Bull's trade proposal. That's embarrassing. And he owns it. He owns it. He owns it for sure. Tim, have a great week. We'll see you next Monday, my man.
All right, man.
See you, Tim.
Thanks, guys. Sounds good.
Yeah, he literally, I mean, it's a different, subplot, but the main storyline of Tim is very similar to Baker's. in that Baker is looking at this saying, how can you guys do me this way?
Right.
And Tim asked the same question, and I think both
Yeah, but Baker was given great talent around him and rode that talent.
Sure.
Whereas Tim Couch had to overcome
Tim played with one
talent
Pro Bowler
deficiencies.
his entire career.
You got
Talent
something in your
deficiency.
soul.
I am so tired of hearing about the playoff win. I'm so tired.
God, I can't agree with you more.
Jared Goff took the Rams to the Super Bowl, and they said, you're not good enough. We can do better.
Carson
we need to
Wentz.
upgrade the position.
Carson
And they went, and look, and then the Rams went and won the Super Bowl.
Jimmy Garoppolo
So
took team to
I'm
the Super Bowl.
so tired of hearing.
All those teams had been to the playoffs so many times.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does.
No, it
It does to the
doesn't.
fan base, it does.
One playoff win does not. I mean, yeah, you know what? The Browns have had crap at the quarterback position for 20 years. They have. That doesn't mean Baker Mayfield is the answer. I'm so tired of hearing about
I
playoff
got to say,
wins.
I hope, I really do. I know you actually said you're rooting against him.
Yes, I
hope
admit it.
Baker goes to Miami or Carolina or Seattle and plays his ass off.
I have no.
I really do.
I'm fine with that. I'm not rooting against him anyway. I wish him well.
G's rooting against him too. Admit you're rooting against him.
I don't think G is.
For me,
You're not as much a hater as me.
I mean,
But don't you want to be right? Right? We want to be
Who
right.
cares? Who cares?
I want to be right.
If you look at it, the thing that
Oh,
always
if you're wrong on this one,
the thing
Bull,
that always
it's going
got
on
me,
your headstone.
They always.
Oh, yeah. I'll put it on my own
always hurt
headstone.
me about this. It was like when I looked at LeBron, right?
Yeah.
LeBron is the second greatest player, and most people
Behind Giannis?
to put shoes. Yeah, well, good Lord, don't start me. to put
Time
shoes
is
on.
foul.
To put shoes on. LeBron is squeaky clean. It's a point where there's some people that value Baker Mayfield more than they value LeBron James. And
well,
LeBron,
that's ludicrous.
No. LeBron, the vitriol for LeBron. People talk about this all the time. Like when he left the first time, you got to go back and jump into that circumstance when he left the first time and remember the climate.
Right.
People talk. LeBron has brought the organization to the highest heights, but people value a divisional game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. To me, it's not even
more,
close.
though. Who values what Baker's done for this city over what LeBron has?
Baker. I'm telling you, Baker has a cult following in this city.
There's a lot of vitriol against LeBron, and I just don't understand it.
It was
what he's
even
done
now.
in the
Yeah,
community.
I don't either
And for-
personally, but people that say he's left us twice.
The thing LeBron has done post his return here has been phenomenal, right? The vitriol comes from the
He left us again.
walking people out to watch that TV program. That's where it comes from. That's where it came from.
And if
Yeah,
he had
that
to do
was-
it again, he would do it again.
No, but there's
badly
a
played.
residual for that, right?
Yeah.
And this town never forgets a thing, right? There's some people in this town will never forget.
guess what?
Yeah.
Forget. But let me say this. And
We
this
got a
why-
banner out
here,
of it.
I'm not here. I'm pulling for Baker Mayfield, right? Because what I'm pulling for is this. There's a chance at redemption here. He doesn't see it, right? He can walk in here, do his thing, walk out the door to a ton of money if he does his thing, right? And all it requires you to be just an adult to understand what's on the table. It don't require anything more.
Well,
I ain't gotta
God
be
bless him. Go get
I ain't
what
gotta
he
be your
can.
buddy. I ain't gotta be your grandson,
Right.
your godchild. Let me come in here from 9 to 5 and do my job and do it at a high level. And then guess what? I'm out of here.
America is about second chances, right? I ain't the person I am today than I was 20 years ago. I used to stand on tables. I was obnoxious. I'm running around doing all kind of different stuff. You grow up at some point, but I've had a lot of injuries, right? Those injuries told me something like, oh, the health stuff is fleeting. You can get away with certain stuff when you're younger. Hopefully he gets to a point where he understands that he's still got a lot of his career left and kind of switches the mindset, because he's not garbage. It's just that he has to figure it out in terms of, hey, this is the way I need to
Do you really care when he leaves, like what happens to him?
Well, I don't wish no bad on no man.
Well, I'm not wishing him to get hurt or die or anything. I'm just.
That's the great.
I don't
Well,
care.
that's good.
No.
But why do I have to root for him to do well?
No, you don't.
Why?
You don't have to root for him.
Yeah.
But the thing
But
about
why do you have to root for him to do poorly?
Because he's obnoxious.
But that's hate. Like,
So
why
what?
you got to spew hate?
I look at it like this.
Because that's how I feel,
Because
honestly.
you're being Petty LeBeau.
Fine.
Sports
That's
is
fine.
Sports is the greatest thing about it is.
Yeah.
In sports, it don't matter what religion you is. It don't matter what faith you are. It don't matter how much money you got, and it don't matter how many people like you. It's about what you do between the lines, and that's the greatest equalizer. Yeah. So every single person that plays has an opportunity to either prove you right or prove you wrong.
I mean, Anthony Rizzo was my favorite baseball player when he was on the Cubs. I don't want him to win with the Yankees. I want him to lose.
No.
Now, part of that's because he's on the Yankees. If he run another team,
that's a
that's a big
scenario.
part of it. To be fair.
I can root against somebody that's on the Yankees.
All right, what about if Baker goes to the Steelers? You'll be rooting for him to lose?
No, I won't be rooting for him to lose. Obviously, I'll be rooting for the Browns to kick their teeth in every time they play.
Yes.
But if he goes 14-2 every year, and we beat them twice a year, that's what I care about. I care what the Browns do against the Steelers.
So you don't root for any players to have lack of success?
I never root against anybody, Bull.
All right, fair enough.
I just don't, but I'm a different. I look at things differently. Some people do. Some people get great. Some people watch sports so they can root against people.
And
I would never be that guy.
And I look at it like this. Here's a young athlete in a window of opportunity. The window of opportunity closes as soon as you get there, right? It's starting to close, right? And he's not going to have a lot of opportunity. He has a chance, right?
He has a chance.
And I know how hard it is to get to that level, right? And I don't want to see him blow it, right? He has a chance, right? And the problem with Baker Mayfield is I don't think he understands time and attention, right? Because if he was on time and attention, he would be cognizant of exactly what moment in time he has right now. Because if he took a hard position here and said, the Browns say, you come back and you're going to play. And he says, I'm not going to play. Well, the Browns are going to sit him in the corner, right? Then next year, who's going to be willing to pay him any money? Nobody. Nobody.
Jason, if he doesn't play next year, do the Browns still have him for a year?
No.
What happens if he just decides, I'm not going to play?
I mean, if they want him to come back and he says no.
I'm just asking if he doesn't play, he doesn't get paid.
Right.
Does that year?
Because in Deshaun, if he's suspended, everything is frozen, but he's not suspended.
No.
So the contract
he just wouldn't get paid.
Right. So if Baker decides to be the petulant child that
then he just won't get paid and he'll still be a free agent.
He will be a free agent after next year?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I thought the contract freezes.
Wasn't Le'Veon Bell a free agent when he held out that year?
Yeah.
And then he became a free agent, right?
I don't remember how that played out. I honestly don't.
I know he signed with the Jets.
Because they hold the salary back, so it's like the contract is moving forward. Right?
Yeah.
So
They're
they're not
fined
paying.
every week.
They're not
the contract's still ticking.
Right, they're not paying, right? So at the end of that, it's a done deal.
If Baker decides to go that route, he's got to have someone smart and grown up
You'll be shooting yourself in
It's
your own
not coming
foot.
to that,
Listen,
guys.
it might be the end of his career.
Right?
Yeah, it's not
That's
gonna
what
come.
I'm screaming here.
He's going to get
It's not
traded. He's going to
coming
get
to
traded. It's not going to come to that. He's going to play. Maybe he'll play well. Who cares? I mean, once he's out of here,
Well,
I don't know.
See.
I don't know. I mean, he doesn't care if I'm successful in my career or not.
He probably doesn't even know any of us exist. So
he does.
he knows.
He does.
That's why he blocked him.
does.
He knows he's not playing.
He knows everyone.
That's right. No, he's dead to him. He's dead to him.
He does. Now, listen, I don't go around rooting against every player.
No, I understand that.
Whatever. But I'm not going to, I'm honest that I'm rooting against him. There's probably other people that will be too. They might not be honest about it. I'm going to be. If that makes me a hater or a bad guy, I can live with that.
How do y'all pass up an opportunity about talking about baseball? I don't care.
Let's go.
Let's do that because Aditi's coming on at 12:30, so we're going to clear the decks before she comes on. What a nightmare. What a disaster for the Guardians.
Bad weekend.
They come home. They've won 18 of their previous 24 games.
You called it.
They're red hot,
Yeah.
and the Red Sox nail them in the ass with the broom. They score 8 runs with – I found nothing positive except for the attendance Friday night.
Yeah.
The fans came out.
Yep.
They had an opportunity to win some fans over, and they didn't hit. They didn't pitch. I didn't see any life.
They didn't
I
feel.
saw a lifeless
And I watched
team.
all them games. All of them games.
So what happened this weekend? What changed for them?
I mean, it's, I could just say, well, it's baseball, right? There's ups and downs in the season. Think about this. Steve Becker gave us that stat. Steve, our executive producer, gave us the stat, I think Friday, that the Guardians are the youngest. Their average age is younger than every team in AAA, let alone the majors, which is mind-blowing, right? So they're an extremely young team. When you're a young team that's talented but flawed, you're going to have some extreme highs and extreme lows. It's going to happen.
But you would think coming home, playing in front of a full house.
But you're playing really good teams,
But they looked flat. That was my point. My point was they just looked flat.
I think sometimes when you play poorly, you look flat, even if you're not.
Well, here's the one thing with young teams, and I think that anybody who's played knows this. When they come off that road swing, playing great baseball, you come home and guess what? Now we're on Broadway. The lights are on here. Everybody's watching.
Right.
And sometimes you get stage fright when those lights are on, right? Until you get your feet wet here, right? And they took a lesson. You took a stripping. Now, my thing for the Guardians is this: will they respond after the flop on Broadway?
You got 2 tough series coming up next.
Well, they got a 5-game series with the Twins, they came home, they were in first place.
Right.
Now they open a 5-game set with the Twins. They're 2 games out of the division lead, and they're not currently in a wild card.
And then the Yankees are the best team in baseball right
Yeah.
now. So this is a challenge the next 8 games. But here's the thing. Here's the challenge we have as sports talk people. It's a challenge when it comes to baseball, especially in this market that is so football centric. It's like a lot of times fans will look at each game as if it's a football. We react to a football game. It's huge because it's now 1/17 of the season. You can't really react to baseball that way. But then if we tell people, well, you can't react that way, then they're like, well, why should I care at all? It puts you in a tricky spot when analyzing baseball. But the reality is it's not surprising that they're going to have some ups and downs because there are flaws on this roster. I still think there'll be a lot of waves as the season goes. I do think by September, especially if they make some additions, they'll be in the hunt, but ultimately it's still going to be very tough for them to make the playoffs.
This is a young team. The arrow's pointing in the right direction. They're moving, and they're moving up. I was talking to people a couple weeks ago in the organization about they're very realistic about where they are, and they can compete with the 500 teams and the teams in their division. They can swing pretty heavy with them. When it comes to the heavyweights, they're going to get out punched right now when it comes to New York, Boston. And I was told that before.
And Boston is a heavyweight.
Oh, for sure.
They didn't look like it the first 6 weeks of the season, but they have completely turned around the ship.
And then they went to L.A. and I took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers, which I was like, wow.
And the Dodgers are a heavyweight too.
But they're very realistic internally about where they stand, and they're answering some of the questions. We talked about it when I was in last week or so. They're getting some of the answers to the questions that they entered the season with, but they are still very, very young. And they're punching out of their weight class when you're talking New York and Boston and some of these other teams. Yeah, they took 2 or 3 from LA, but like Bull said, it's just baseball. Weird things can happen. This is still a team that has a lot of growing to do, and that's okay.
It's a bonus that they're able to be competitive while they're trying to figure out some of these long-term questions.
But they should try to win. Like we talked about,
they
can't just punt with like Jacoby Brissett. Well, the Guardians shouldn't punt either. They have a chance to win their division. And it's baseball. I understand. We all understand the Yankees are a better team, but you know what? The Guardians were a lot better than the Yankees in 2017, and they lost that series.
I think they're going to be very active at the deadline.
They should be.
And we've talked about it before. They added 11 minor leaguers. Their 40-man roster. Their 40-man roster is imbalanced right now.
With Merrifield,
they have to start bundling up some of these prospects and making some of these trades. Now they always target guys with multiple years of control. They don't want anyone who's going to be free agent at the end of the year. They want at least one more year out of them.
But Whit Merrifield's got 2.5 years left to control. He's got like a Jose Ramirez type, really cheap contract. Yeah. I don't know that the Royals will trade him in the division. He's having a bad year. I know.
It could be Castellanos in Detroit, who he's just in a bad situation.
He kills the Guardians. He's a great hitter.
If they could add Whit Merrifield, I know you sent that text out, I think, Fridays, just like a pie in the sky. Hey, why not? If they target and bring in a Whit Merrifield, that gets the attention of the fans.
Oh, for sure.
No doubt.
This fan base knows how good he is.
Think if you added him and Contreras. I know Contreras is a free agent. I know they don't usually go after those rentals. They did with Yasiel Puig, right?
It has to be the right, but they got more than just Puig.
Yes, and I'm saying go get Contreras and somebody from the Cubs bullpen. They have some good veterans in that pen that are not like big stars, but they're good, solid veterans.
They're going to be active. They will be active.
Here's the problem. I was sitting there. I said, casual fans. I'm a casual guy. The situation is this is a huge stand because now you got the national guys coming in like Boston, right? You get swept by them. Then you're in a battle in the division with Minnesota, so you at least got to split.
It's a 5-game. They got to take 3 of the 5.
And
I think they have to.
Then you got the Yankees after that. Yeah. So the thing is, in this sport, in this town, I've always said it, and I think it's true. I don't think in this city you can have 3 teams be really, really, really good and be contenders, and the attendance and the fans be able to support all 3. I think we've been lucky. When the Indians were good, the Browns weren't here. When the Browns came back, the Indians weren't so good. The Cavs are good here or there with LeBron. I've yet to see that if the Guardians were a top-notch team competing for a World Series and the other 2 organizations were top-notch, I don't think they still can get
This could be the first time in a long time that all 3 teams are over 500 in the same year.
I believe this is an avid sports town, right? And what you're seeing is a young team going through the process of getting better, right? I think there's stair steps here. You just don't go from 0 to 100, right? And you're paying your price here. You know, you go on the road, you win these games, you think that you got it kind of figured out. I got this thing figured out, right? You come back here, you get hit in the mouth.
Especially when you beat the Dodgers.
Yeah, you get hit in the mouth by the Sox, right? So now you got to come back and figure out, oh, maybe I'm not that good. That's the first thing going through your head. Maybe I got to get back to the grind here. Right. The one thing that I like about it is that Terry Francona is at the helm, right, to bring the ship back into alignment. And sometimes you have to take some L's here to understand that I have to come to work every day, not every other day.
I think he's the guy you want at the helm.
No doubt.
Whether it's rough waters or not, particularly with a very young team that's trying to figure things out.
So let me ask you, baseball guys, are you going to judge the season based on how competitive they are going to be moving forward in this stretch here? So if you look at this stretch against Boston, Minnesota, and the Yankees, are you going to say if they don't perform well and they look like they're looking against the Red Sox, are you going to say, they don't have a potential to compete for a wild card?
Well, I'm going to look at it as they have to be buyers regardless because of the reasons I just laid out. They have to rebalance their 40-man roster. I said on the radio last week, it doesn't matter if they were 8 games under 500 and 12 games out of first place. They were still going to be buyers. They have to be. Because of,
but there'll be different type of buyers if they're in contention.
They need to offload.
Right. You're not going to trade for Contreras if you're under 500, but maybe if you have a chance to win a division, that's a guy you might trade for.
Look at the Braves last year, where they were in early August.
Right.
Nobody thought this team was going to turn it around and win the World Series. They did. So baseball is the only sport, I believe. Hockey you can't too because you can ride a hot goalie. But in baseball, just get invited to the dance. Just get there, and you've got a puncher's chance.
And now they got a new owner.
They do.
Into the
so
mix.
Let's drop this news because we talked about it about 10 days ago. But David Blitzer, it's official now. The Indians and the Dolan Group have taken on David Blitzer as a minority owner. And this is interesting too, guys. This talks to your point, Jason, about the Blitzer Group developing the land around Progressive Field, which is certainly going to happen. Matt Collig, who is just a terrific guy. I've known him for a couple of years. Just a wonderful guy. He now is going to be a local investor with Blitzer's investment group. So he's actually now got a piece of the Indians. He's been involved with Indians charities for years. He's known for Guardians, Indians. He's known for his philanthropy, and he gives a lot more than people are even aware of, and he gives a lot that we know about. So Collig now, who is a big money guy and an area guy who's invested in the area, is part of this group. I think I don't think there's anything that you can say negative about this. Jay, what are your thoughts on that?
This is a really good thing. And he's sort of been rumored to be on. He's a big sponsor. He's got the sponsorship inside Progressive
He's got a bunch
Field.
of NASCAR teams now that are doing very well.
Yeah, and he's sort of been floating around in the ether as possibly an investor in this team for quite a while. And we at The Athletic had kind of heard about it a few weeks ago and just were never able to completely officially nail it down. Zach Meisel was on it weeks ago. But this is all a really, really good thing. I think where this is trending, David Blitzer is exactly, I think, what you want as minority owner. We talked about his real estate acumen and the ability to possibly develop some of the land. I think the Cavs could be involved in that. Dan Gilbert has a little bit more of the land around there, and so you may see a joint sort of venture partnership here over the next few years to try and develop some of the land around there. I think there's a parking lot or two that's for sale
Blitzer's
already.
also with the Sixers, too. So he's
with the Sixers.
In the NBA
Josh Harris is not part of this deal that we're aware of to this point, but maybe when the Dolans leave.
Who is that for those who don't know?
Josh Harris is the primary owner of the Sixers, and he's Blitzer's partner in a lot of these ownership deals. That they have a ton of teams. I can't even tell you all the teams.
They own soccer.
Yeah.
Apparently he's now the only.
I think the New Jersey Devils, too.
Yeah. Apparently he's the only owner involved in 5 different major sports, including soccer.
So
he's heavily invested.
He's got deep pockets, but I don't. And I've been really hard on Dan Gilbert for a variety of reasons for a number of years, but the one thing he does is spend, and he has spent into the red to win championships here, or to win a championship here. I don't know that Blitzer is going to do that, and I've already been told, like, he's not going to just come in and start writing checks to cover losses. Like, that's not how this is going to go. But you would think that there is going to be a little bit more financial flexibility now with payroll. And again, it's really the area around the stadium. If they can start developing that, That's free money.
Yeah,
and you can then pour that back into the payroll. That's where this changes the game.
I know that's important. That's a fact. That's important. The land around Progressive Field is what the Guardians view as a real opportunity to developing not only the atmosphere for the Guardians and its fan base, but it also gives a gateway into the city to what they feel that the professional stadiums and the venues should look like, right? And so they view this land that is west of Progressive Field as part of the piece that needs to get filled in, right? And so if the new ownership group comes in and they take an inkling to that, and if they can partner with the Cavaliers and trying to develop that, I think it gives a new footprint to what the area can look like. And then it more revenue, in theory, brings more opportunity to bring in more people here.
Yeah.
More people brings better players here, right? But if it's just sitting there, and I know it is a deterrent to what they're thinking because they look at it all the time. They're like, this is not the way we want to go. This has to be fixed.
Yeah.
And I know that like Sherwin-Williams coming, bringing their headquarters downtown is
That's going to make a
big.
difference. Yeah.
And I think that there's teams in town that are encouraged about that, excited about that. If we could get just a little bit more of that, if we could get just a little bit more business downtown, as you know,
and places for them to live too.
Right.
Acceptable places for them to live. So now you've got people that aren't just working downtown but living downtown, much more likely to use all of those businesses that are in the area, and much more likely to buy a ticket to a Guardians game if they're not coming from a suburb.
One thing I know that Mayor Bibb is intent on development. He's not vacating development of downtown. It is the mainstay of any major metropolis in this country. You have to stay committed to it, and it happens over time. You just got to keep going.
You like Mayor Bibb?
I love him.
Yeah,
love him because
I do too.
He understands. He understands what's on the table.
Right guy.
Right. He understands what's on the table. Young mind, hungry, and has a mentality of those that's inclusive to even to folks out in the suburbs. Right. He wants to bring them in and say, okay, how can we work together to make?
I
it
hope
better?
we can keep him.
Right.
Because a young guy, I'm sure he has political ambitions that go beyond the city of Cleveland.
Absolutely.
So I hope we can keep him for a while. Okay, Aditi's on at 12:30, so we got a little bit of time here to do top five. Do you want to do Ultimate Five here?
That is correct. We are going to do Ultimate 5. And as always, the Ultimate 5 is sponsored by Roundstone Insurance. Roundstone offers a better alternative for affordable quality health care. For more than a decade, Roundstone Insurance has been saving small and mid-sized businesses money, an average of 20%. Yeah, 20%. Contact us today to learn how you can get great healthcare benefits that your employees will love and save money too. And I got to ask before we start, G. Bush, you always laugh at my ad reads. What's so funny about how I say
we're over here. I keep telling
Warren Sapp
give him a
impressions.
Warren.
Yeah.
Take off your glasses and do your Warren
We put it
Sapp.
on Twitter this weekend. It got like 4,000
He's one of them dudes
Did
that
you hear that? Your Warren impersonation got 4,000 views on Twitter.
Oh, for real?
Take off the glasses,
G. Bush,
throw in the
good job.
dip.
Put the clown suit on and get your money off. No, now, you can't. Let's see,
Ooh, the eyes kill.
you gotta put a Warren meter on there. Like we should do a running thing. Like you should put, all right, we need the Warren face, and then go in the bottom.
Or we just ask you, what would Warren have to say about that?
Yeah, then
Next
I would have to do that, right? Yeah. So
So you gonna give us a look?
So
No, he doesn't want to do it on demand.
He can't do it on
Yeah. When he feels it, he'll do it.
Go
But
ahead.
It is very, very good.
Jay, you know Warren well.
I do.
How would Warren think
Warren
of
would
G's?
crack up at that.
Okay,
I
he would laugh
promise
at
you
it?
Warren would crack up at that.
Well, maybe we got to get a little collab here.
Maybe we need to get Warren on the program.
I
Because he
wouldn't
did
hate
Vlad TV, and
Yeah,
he went in on Vlad TV
And
on a lot of topics.
first of all, I'm surprised, and I'll give Jay credit. He said Vlad TV. I said, when you start watching Vlad TV, that is not traditional media right there. I'm thinking.
I've been on Vlad TV for a while.
Oh, I thought you said you went on Vlad TV.
No, I did. No. I wasn't a guest on Vlad TV.
I was about to say, what?
No.
I don't even know what that is. Do you know what that is?
I don't know what it is either.
What is Vlad
Check it out.
TV?
Check it out.
Check it out.
Come on, Vlad TV.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody's on there, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
good, too.
It's good, right?
Very good show.
All right.
Okay, so our Ultimate 5 is? Well, we're not
best
laughing at you.
Baseball, football, crossover players. So the best players who played baseball and football as a bridge between our two topics today.
Okay.
They
Football
played
and
both
baseball.
in the major leagues.
Best players who, the best ones played in
So
both
would
the
Dave
majors
Winfield
and
count?
Yes.
Dave Winfield's not on
absolutely.
the list, no.
But he didn't play
He
professional football.
He played football.
No. That's what I said. Would
Right.
Winfield count?
Okay.
No, I guess
You want pro?
there's one player that
Yeah.
may, number 5 is the only one that may be a little iffy, but you'll
Okay.
understand why. So let's take number
All right,
5.
what do you got?
It's Kyler Murray. He didn't play in the majors, but he's the only player to ever be drafted in the first round in both the Major League Baseball draft and the NFL draft.
That's insane.
And he was a top 10 pick in both.
Where was Russ drafted? Russ was drafted.
Yeah,
too.
not
the first round. Russ was a fourth-round pick.
Oh, he was a fourth-round pick?
Fourth round.
The list is already bad because Kyler Murray never played professional baseball. Now, he might, but if you want to say, well, he was drafted high, but Dave Winfield was drafted by 3 different sports and is a much more accomplished
four different teams
and a much more accomplished baseball player to this point than Kyler Murray is as a football player.
Yeah, I said that might be the one that's a little contentious. I think the other 4 definitely fit the exact
Winfield was like,
more.
I think he was the MVP of the
He was an all-star. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
all right, let's go to number 4.
Yeah.
Drew Henson.
Well,
okay.
His professional baseball career didn't pan out great, but I got some numbers from his high school baseball days that are going to blow your mind.
Well, in that case, that was the greatest of all time.
If I roll my high school numbers
I
out
know
here,
it's
you'd be
irrelevant,
impressed.
but listen to these numbers real quick. Henson set the national record for home runs and RBIs in a high school career. In his high school career, he hit 70 home runs.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
And drove
Where
in
did he play baseball?
290 runs in 4 seasons.
Where did he grow
At
up?
the Birmingham Little League field.
Where did he grow up? What state?
Michigan guy, yeah. And then he ended up playing in the NFL for 4 seasons. He did play in the majors 8 games with the Yankees. He was terrible for the Yankees.
Can I show you what Drew Henson's career looked like in the NFL?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Hey, yeah, and come on, in high school, some teams don't even have fences, bro.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
you
what
hit
kind
the
of high
ball-
school, who's he playing against?
It's impressive, but I thought
ahead.
you were going to roll out guys like that have done it.
Well, there's
like
3 to go.
The next 3. The next 3.
Yeah, the next 3 are pretty obvious, I think.
Listen, it was really a top 3, and then you can throw
so
in
you got
right
Deion,
next to the
Bo,
other 5.
and then some other stiff.
All right, so number 3, Brian Jordan.
Yeah, Brian was. I was wondering if you were going to catch on to Brian.
He
Brian
played
was
in
a good
more
player.
Major League Baseball games than any other NFL player. He played in 1,456 baseball games. He was an MLB All-Star in 1990. He scored over 100 runs twice in his career and was a Pro Bowl alternate in 1991. So he was an All-Star in baseball in 1990.
Legitimately good at both.
Yeah.
Legitimately good at both.
Think about this list. This
Pro
is
Bowler.
crazy.
But he wasn't, real quick, G. Bush, he didn't play at the same time. That's the knock on him. He did not play baseball and football simultaneously.
All right. Well, the crazy part about it is, the top 3 people presumptively will be African American, and we don't see any African American baseball players. I think it's less than 60%, 6 something like that. Less than
6%?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as low as
very
it's been
low.
in years.
It's
Troublingly low.
Shrinking.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Okay, so we know it's just a matter of
We know
what
the
order
next
are you
2.
going
It's
to
the
put them in.
order. So we'll get the dramatics out of the way now with number 2.
Yep.
Bo Jackson. 4 years in the NFL
got it
and
wrong.
the majors
Yeah.
at the same
You
time.
got
I'll
it
tell you
wrong.
why I have Deion
It's
number 1.
flip-flop.
We'll get
It's
to Deion.
all right.
It's flip-flop.
But Bo Jackson, 1989 MLB All-Star Game MVP. He was a Pro Bowler in 1990, and he's the only player to ever make both All-Star games as an official voting guy, not an alternate. Brian Jordan was an alternate.
Right.
Not Bo Jackson, the only one to ever make it legitimately as a player in both.
Yeah, he got this wrong.
Well, Jay, tell him how hard it is to roll out of bed and come hit major league pitching. You ain't practice, no spring training. I'm gonna just roll over out of the bed and come
Bo
do my thing.
Jackson was the gap between Bo and Deion in baseball is much bigger than in football.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I
Here's
thought
the difference, though.
Deion was a good baseball player, but I thought he was a gimmicky baseball player. Am I right, Jay?
Yeah, I
mean, he
tend to-
showed up. I think he showed up for the attention.
I mean, he did the crazy thing where he played like in the same day.
Yes, I think
Right.
back-to-back
Playoff
games he
game.
played.
Yeah.
And what was a playoff? I think he played a playoff game
Yeah.
after playing an NFL
I
game
think
on
Bo
Sunday.
Jackson could have. It's maybe a stretch in baseball, but he could have, had he stayed healthy and done
Hall
only
of Fame.
one, been a Hall of Famer
Yeah,
in either.
I agree.
Definitely in
If he
football.
had just chosen
If he had
baseball,
just done baseball,
he had that kind of talent.
He probably could have, he would have been at least a routine all-star in
He
baseball.
came back after the hip surgery,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is insane.
Yeah.
Come on.
No one
Let
thought
me
he
tell
could
you
do
why
that.
you
Yeah.
guys are all wrong, and Deion Sanders is number 1. It's the longevity factor. Deion played in 641 Major League Baseball games, 189 NFL games. He's the only player to ever hit a home run and score a touchdown in the same week of a calendar.
Insane.
How about that?
That's
He's
insane.
the only player to play in both a Super Bowl and a World Series. Speaking of that World Series, he hit .533 with 5 stolen bases. He's a Hall of Famer in football, the greatest defensive back ever, and the longevity factor. is why I have Deion slightly ahead of Bo Jackson.
Does anyone think that Deion, if he had just played baseball, could have been a Hall of Fame baseball player?
No chance.
I think there's 0% chance that ever would have happened.
Right.
And I do think your point with Bo is dead on. I think if he said, baseball's my thing, he could have.
I think, I'm just going back. Now, Ricky Henderson stole a lot of bases, right?
Yeah.
Deion would have stole more.
Yeah, but Deion couldn't hit like Ricky Henderson.
But all he got to do is sit 250, 260.
There's been a Major League Baseball player for a while now who still actually signed a minor league contract this week with the Giants, I believe, named Billy Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
Great speed.
And that was it.
He can't hit.
No.
Otis Nixon.
Yeah, Otis Nixon was another guy. Oh. Hey, what was Deion's career batting average? It was low.
Yeah, I mean, he was better in the playoffs. I'll look it up real quick for you guys.
By the way, you know who should have been on the list? At least this guy played professional baseball? Ricky Williams.
The running back?
Yeah.
He played for the Batavia Muck Dogs of the New York Penn League in 1998. Led the team in stolen bases.
Were you doing their games then?
I started the year after that, so I heard all the stories about him.
So when they pitched the job to you, they said, "Hey, Ricky Williams."
Ricky Williams, yeah,
and you were like, "All right, I'll take the job."
He was gone. He actually, he at least played professional baseball, so I would have put him ahead of Kyler Murray. I would have put Dave Winfield ahead of Kyler Murray.
Any list I looked at for professional crossovers. By the way, Deion Sanders, 264 career average, so not
actually
terrible,
better than I thought.
but not great.
Yeah, it's better than I thought. I would have had him like a 240 guy.
Yeah, we can all agree though that all these guys on the list aren't as good of dual threat personalities as Aditi Kinkhabwala, who is a phenomenal beat reporter.
Yes,
and also
indeed.
That 30 for 30 Deion's double play is nice.
Without further ado, let's get our favorite person, human, Browns beat reporter, not guest, part of the family on the show. What's up, Aditi?
Aditi.
How are you? Well,
he just called you a great golfer.
Aditi, who's your favorite two-sport athlete? Do you have one?
I feel like it would have to be Bo.
Thank you. Right, no doubt.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I just think
Bo better than Deion.
Yeah.
And the commercials were so good.
By the way,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say two baseball players that would have been great football players. One, Todd Helton, was a great quarterback.
Okay. Joe Mauer, too.
And
Joe Mauer.
Yeah, but Jeff Samardzija, who was a great football player at Notre Dame.
Yeah, he was.
He wasn't a great baseball player, and he chose wisely because even as a mediocre baseball player, made a ton of money.
Bauer signed with he was going to be their quarterback at Florida State.
And John Elway was a great baseball player, too.
Mauer was the number one overall high school recruit.
Yeah, that's true.
People always talk about Tom Brady's Tom Brady is a brain and not necessarily an athlete. But remember, he was drafted as a catcher, right?
He was.
That's impressive.
That's true.
And that's no easy position. I mean, you have to be ridiculously athletic to play catcher.
You aren't kidding.
That's true. By the way, Brad Sellers played against somebody, I believe, that played in the NBA and Major League Baseball. I think you played against him.
Danny Ainge.
Yeah, sure did.
Danny Ainge? Yeah.
The Blue Jays, right? Danny Ainge was the Blue Jays?
Yep, Blue Jays.
Yeah.
That's right.
Not very good.
But who was the track star who became a bobsledder? Wasn't there a female track star who became a bobsledder?
Marion Jones.
Marion Jones?
Oh, she did. There wasn't somebody else?
No.
I thought that was a movie with John Candy.
Lolo Jones did.
Yeah.
Lolo Jones.
Lolo Jones, yes.
She was the hurler that just kept missing a goal.
Wasn't there also a speed skater who did another sport? There was a speed skater who did a Summer Olympics.
Nehemiah.
No, Nehemiah was a sprinter, a hurler, and he became a.
What was his first name?
Ronaldo Nehemiah.
Ronaldo Nehemiah, right.
He was a sprinter and then crossed over to football.
Yeah, right.
As a return wide receiver type. So.
Okay, well, this was interesting. So, Jason, I didn't get to finish the car conversation. Here was a fatal error.
Oh, no.
You needed to just go home and tell your wife that the car was for her. If you had said, "This is for you, baby," all would have been forgiven.
I'm not doing that. I want the car.
Yeah. Hey, man, it all blows over. She was like, yeah.
Aditi, you missed it. She actually called while we were on the show. She thought the show was over. We were running over. She called like 1:04. So I answered and put her on speakerphone into my microphone. So we had
that went over
conversation
well.
with my wife.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that she didn't call because she was watching, and I told her to call it because she just wanted to know where you were.
No, she doesn't care. She didn't watch the show.
No, she's not interested.
I can say whatever I want.
Funny how our spouses don't care, but our parents do. Like my mom to this day would watch me constantly. My husband walks in the room and has no idea what I'm doing.
See, I actually used Jason Lloyd to get out of trouble, right? So Jason Lloyd.
That's what I'm good for.
So Jason, I said, oh yeah, he good, man. So what I did is I just preemptively went home. And I just was like, yeah, let me just go buy a bunch of shoes. I'm gonna see how many I can get.
And then you said, honey, Jason bought a Benz.
No. she said, you in the middle of the night. My wife is from the Philippines. She's like, in the middle of the night, you buy mini shoes. You buy mini shoes. I was like, yeah. My coworker bought a car. Like, we good.
Not
I'm
just
good.
a car.
Yeah, like,
I only spent a couple of $100.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
He spent 90 grand.
Hey, I'm just trying to.
Wait, what kind of shoes are we talking about, though, G?
Oh
What
man, all kind of ridiculous shoes that I should buy. But this is a fact. I told my mom and I told my wife, if I didn't get, I'm getting every pair of shoes that I didn't get when I was younger. And I blame it on my mom. I said, if she didn't get them, I'm getting them now. I don't even care if they're ugly now. Yeah. I will go find them. I don't know where you can. I go to the internet and find them, and they just keep showing up at the house.
By the way, you can't blame your mom. I met G's parents this weekend.
Oh, you did?
I did. I met it. They were so nice.
Yeah, nice.
I feel like I know them. You've talked.
I was talking baseball with your dad for a while.
Yeah, he's a big baseball guy, but
yeah,
they didn't give me what I wanted when I was younger.
What did you want? Some Buster Browns?
Hey, do you remember the Adidas Americana? I think they were called Americanas, the white and with the red and blue stripes.
Oh no! You mean no?
Not Americanas.
They weren't American. They were the top tens. That's what they were.
Was that what they were called?
Top 10. So, if you talk about the basketball version.
Yeah, basketball shoes, white with the red and blue stripes.
Top 10s, right?
Those
and
were
how do I know? There used to be an Adidas store out in Maple Heights.
Yeah.
I was in high school. The owner of Adidas, my mother, I would go in there and look at the shoes. They had the best players hanging their shoes up across Cleveland on the wall, right? And so I would just go in there and be looking at the shoes like, oh my God, this is Adidas. And then my mother walked in one day and they said, you know what, Miss Sellers, we're going to give him these top 10s, 2 pair. We just need him to wear them, right?
Oh, wow.
In high school.
NIL.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And my mother was like, because, shoes are expensive.
Yeah.
My mother was like, oh, thank you. Thank you.
Where is it? Now, Aditi, is she still on here?
Yeah, she's
Put
here.
her back on.
I'm here.
What is your most expensive pair of shoes? You look like you're an accessory woman. It looks like you can dress up now. It looks like you do your thing. I just want to, I shared mine. I think you should share how much.
Okay, but G, I appreciate your saying that, but let me tell you, I am the child of immigrants. That means I am not shopping at Nordstrom. I am shopping at TJ Maxx.
That's a girl right there. That's a
I
girl.
like accessories. I do have far too many shoes, but the most expensive pair of shoes, you know what? Honestly, they're probably a pair of sneakers.
Really?
Because sneakers run over $100, a good pair of sneakers.
Wow.
And, I like a lot of shoes as opposed to one pair of shoes. I mean, I pretty much won't spend more than $100 on a pair of shoes.
So no Jimmy
But
Choos.
that should be sneakers or boots if I'm
No
spending that kind.
Balenciagas. No red bottoms for you, huh?
I have no Manolos. I have no.
See, I like her even more now.
Yeah.
Aditi,
I
I
had
worked
no
with
top
women.
10s, Brad. I didn't even know what top 10s were. And when I was a kid, I could not get the real K-Swisses.
Neither could I.
or
I'm happy.
Google the top 10s. It was a great shoe. Aditi, I worked with women, many of them who, because I would see them in their office or dressing room and there'd be dozens of pair. And I would think, if you've got that many shoes, you're probably a bargain shopper. Aditi, some of these women are dropping $500 on one pair of shoes.
It's that ESPN money.
You know what? I'll tell you a story. So Jay, I remember I don't remember how old I was, but I was young. I was young. I was still impressionable. And Katie Couric at the time was making more money than anybody. I think it was like $14 million a year or something like that. And the Today Show, she was the host of the Today Show. And the Today Show did a feature, and I can't even remember. It might have been like Poochie boots, some sort of rain boots. And they were $700. And Katie Couric, who made more money than anybody else on television, on live television, says, $700 for a pair of rain boots? That's crazy.
Yeah, because
And
she's
I remember
practical.
thinking, if there's anybody who could afford them, it was that woman. And yet, the reason that she probably is as successful as she is that she's not dropping $700 on a pair of rain boots that she could buy for a lot less.
Yep, you've got it.
So I don't know. I'd much rather I get high off of a good deal, G, more than I do over, like if I get a great pair of shoes that are half off, I feel better than having spent the.
She got value.
Well, Aditi, speaking of deals, we got to get Baker Mayfield the hell out of town, right? We got to make a trade. Can we put up the trade proposal I made, or can we not go back?
No, we can go back. We'll pull it up. Give us 1 second.
Aditi, just prepare yourself.
Aditi, we were talking about. We all mentioned trade proposals earlier. Garoppolo, G. Bush is talking about offensive linemen that nobody ever heard of.
Food and merchandise.
Aditi, look at this.
Here's my trade to the Saskatchewan Roughriders: unlimited Labatt Blue, 5-year supply of poutine, 3 Canadian Mounties, and 1 Moose to play defensive tackle. Do you make that trade if you're the Browns?
I don't think that Browns fans are drinking Labatt's. Do you?
They should. No. It's a great beer.
I mean, if it's free, is that the way that goes?
Unlimited, yes. But are the
Canadian Mounties going to get along with Swagger? Is that going to all work in the stadium together?
We need more security. They need more security. There's too many fights. We got to get the Mounties are badass. They will help out. They're going to wear their black hats, their red jackets. They'll be set. They'll be good.
Mounties don't wear black.
I covered a game when London Fletcher's family got into a fight in the stands in Cleveland. Kirk Cousins started instead of Robert.
Who cares what hats they wear?
London Fletcher's family was there, and someone got in a fight with them.
See?
Still remember that one.
We could use the Mounties to protect them.
I'll give you points for creativity, Adam. But who's picking up Baker's salary?
Well, nobody in the NFL wants to pick it up, so I guess the Browns will have to pick up half of it.
So the Rough Riders will take the whole $18 million? Is that what you're saying?
No, nobody's taking it.
No, that's the Rough Riders' salary cap is $18 million for the whole team.
It's the $18 million.
Now, the Browns got to pay the whole thing. They've got to pay the full boat. But at least he goes to Canada. He might like it there.
Well, if they're not paying anything for Deshaun Watson this year, then I guess there's some extra money right there.
Are you buying all this propaganda that he's going to get suspended for the whole season? I don't buy it.
You know what? I'm not buying anything right now. Let's just get the decision done and let's move it on. I have never heard, again, in more than a dozen years of covering the National Football League, I've never heard as much chatter in so many different directions as I have here. And that's from what I hear from people within the league. That's what I hear from people within the Browns organization. That's what I hear from people who know Deshaun, people who don't, people who have all sorts of knowledge of the way these disciplinary things go. I just think that this is not happening in a vacuum. That's all I can say.
This is what happens when Twitter and Instagram
to see how
come
much
into play here.
Optics play, how much does public perception play, how much. I just think that this is the least. Not that any decision in the National Football League ever really seems totally black and white, but this is the least black and white case that I have ever been around. That's it. Yeah. So at this point, let's just have a decision. Let's just know what it is and move on.
Aditi, what do you make of the notion that if the decision gets appealed, Roger Goodell gets to make the final ruling? That seems like a kangaroo court to me.
You know what? All I can say is don't hate the player, hate the game. That's the way that it's set up. This is what was agreed to in the CBA. Do I think that this is optimum? Do I think that this is the best way to sort of have the final arbiter be? It is what the system is. So what can we do? You can sit here and you could say that the system is flawed. Well, that's the system that the NFLPA essentially agreed to.
Which I think was a terrible mistake.
That's what I said earlier in the show. Player Association agreed to this.
She said you get 15 extra cool points, man, for just that quote. One of the greatest quotes in the world is Avon Barksdale off The Wire. The game is the game.
The game is the game.
Always.
The game's still the same, just got a little bit more fierce.
Yep.
That's it.
And that's what it is. So why sit here and rip on the commissioner? It's the game. It is what it is. It's not him. This is what was agreed to. This was
we all understand that, but it doesn't mean that we can't be critical of it.
Here.
I don't know how this was agreed to.
When's the next agreement coming up, right? It's definitely
3 more years.
3 years?
You can say whatever you want to say. The players, if they want to revolt and change it, it can be done, right? So
not midstream. They're not.
Here, let me tell you something. Yes, it can, Jay.
Tell me how that works.
Let me tell you something. You would need the hierarchy in the group to be like, no, we're not doing this anymore.
So is this the hill they want to die on?
Well,
that's why I say it's not happening midstream.
It depends on the leadership. Now, I would say when the NBA boys did it, the top boys were at the top.
Yeah, but the basketball and baseball unions have always been stronger than the football unions.
No, baseball was always the top.
Yeah, but
basketball just came in.
That's true. You're right.
Recently.
Yeah,
right?
But the football union's always been the weakest.
Like, I don't know why they do
so
what
Brad,
they do.
I know what you're saying. I'm saying this isn't the hill they're going to choose to die
to
on.
splinter, Jay. But I'm saying if it wants to change, because I'm just talking about fairness, right? On the surface, anybody can say this is fair, right? There's no fairness in this, right? Because if it's coming back, if you bring in a federal judge to make an arbitrary ruling, that should stand.
I agree.
Say, well, I don't like that. I can appeal. Now that comes back to the guy who's working for the owners.
But I think Aditi expresses a sentiment that a lot of us feel. I know I certainly do. We're all sick of this.
Yeah.
We're all sick of it. We want it to be settled. Now, that may not be fair. That may not be right. But I think selfishly for all of us, we're like, oh, God, please just have a decision already so at least we can talk about this from a different angle.
Do you think we have closure by the end of the week, Aditi? Or at least a ruling from Sue Robinson?
I think that might be a little bit ambitious. It might be ambitious, but I think it's reasonable to expect something fairly soon. And I think you can see the fatigue setting in on all levels in general. And I think that to some degree, it's the same way that Deshaun Watson clearly must have felt some sort of fatigue in moving forward with these settlements. You have to think that the National Football League too is sort of, if there's going to be blowback, let's have the blowback. Let's have the decision and let's just deal with it and move forward if that's the case. I don't know what is to be gained by continuing to drag it out, because in many ways you're just continuing to increase the spotlight on what has to happen,
Yeah, you
what
keep
the
it in the
decision
news cycle.
process is, and basically how the sausage is being made.
Right.
The same way that you're questioning the process here, everybody is questioning the process.
Right.
Jason talked about it really quickly. Jason just in the beginning of our show said the Texans have been added officially, and they say it's one of more to come. How does the league go about figuring out what to do with the Texans? Or do you feel like they're just not going to say anything about it and just keep it moving and deal with Watson?
I think they have to. I don't think that they get to ignore it. I think that what we've seen with Daniel Snyder and the Commanders over the last few weeks, you would have to think that that there are enough people, enough outlets, enough voices holding the league accountable in some way that just doesn't get brushed under the rug, or not holding the league accountable to holding teams or potential bad actors accountable. That's what I mean by that the league doesn't get to just brush that under the rug. But again, I think that this is one of those things that has gone on long enough at this point. And back to what Brad was saying earlier, the NFL union has never, ever been as strong as the baseball union, and the NFL players have never been as cohesive or as confident in having that strength. And a lot of that has to do with what their guarantees are and how long they play for. And so I think that that's part of the dilemma here too, is what can you stand up for when you may be looking at a 3 or 4 year career?
Aditi, if you had to bet today on when training camp starts, Baker Mayfield will be where? First day of training camp. If you had to bet.
Well, I never bet because I'm an immigrant's daughter and I hate wasting money.
Very smart.
But
Very smart.
She's so crafty.
But I may as well throw my money out the window. I thought that we established that a little earlier.
That's true.
Friendly wager then.
I like Seattle. I know that that's not a sexy choice.
No,
it
we
just
said that too.
Feels like
Yeah.
the most obvious choice.
No, Bull and Jason both said
They
Seattle.
have the
I said
worst
Carolina.
quarterback situation.
Yeah, I got Seattle.
I said Carolina.
Yeah.
So. And Brad says
Carolina
Cleveland.
likes Matt Corral. Let me tell you, they
Yeah, good.
like Matt Corral.
Let me know how that
So,
works out for you in December.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's a big conversation in the city of Pittsburgh for sure about Kenny Pickett, and we keep talking about this, whether a rookie should start or not, or have some time to grow, and how that can affect a rookie. And we all talked about this last week. When we talked about David Carr, and does David Carr have a different career if he doesn't start right away behind that line? So who knows about whether Matt Corral is indeed the starter week 1 or not? I'll just tell you that I think that they like him.
Okay.
And I don't think that David Tepper wants to pay for both Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield.
Who would?
As kind of a 1-year placeholder for Matt Corral.
Right.
And I think Seattle's been more vocal about their interest in Baker Mayfield and getting something done, even talking about perhaps an extension, which I think would surprise a lot.
Yeah, they don't have a young quarterback with any. I mean, they have Drew Lock.
They do.
But I don't think he has any potential, but maybe they do. Who knows?
Hey, Aditi, I guess we have to let you go. I was told that we had to say goodbye by 12:55, and we're there.
Oh, really?
That's
well, we got to
what
wrap up the
Nuggets told
show.
me. I mean,
Isn't that the best when you blame it on someone else? I've got a buddy who ends every phone call by being like, "Okay, let me let you go," and I was like, "Wait, I didn't."
Listen, Aditi.
I guess it's a nice way to say, "Don't let the door hit you on the way out."
Steve,
Thanks,
take McNugget's camera so we can read his facial expression here.
I am astonished you would put such a blasphemous statement on me.
Wow!
We do
We
have 2 segments.
I'm not invited to. So
Aditi, we'll see you Thursday. We got 2 segments we have to get to in 15 minutes.
We got other things.
So we got
Aditi, you know where the love comes from here. You know.
Yeah, seriously. I love you, Jay. Bye, guys.
Bye. See you soon.
Listen, I feel hurt because me and Aditi, we've had to work out some back-end deals here to make sure some of these hits come in at the proper time. So we're going to talk offline. Me and Aditi to make sure we're still on good terms. We do. Listen, we love Aditi, but we do have to do good bet, bad bet, and final takes the next 15
So we did
minutes.
have to let her go.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
We did.
He was
We did.
urgent in my ear a minute ago.
He was.
Okay.
All right.
Listen.
Do your business.
You know I love you guys.
Do your
We love
business.
Aditi too.
Good
But
bet,
it's time
bad
for
bet.
good bet, bad bet. Let's see the standings. And for the first time since
crushed on the
UCSS
weekend.
started, we have 2 horses with 50 wins. Congratulations to G and Adam the Bull for
I'm back in
hitting
first place.
the 50-win
tied.
plateau at the
I'll
same
take
time.
it.
I don't understand. I thought I was ahead, and I went.
No, we did back it, and we
No,
did
they
the math.
messed up the graphic pad.
It was time. Yeah, the graphic
Anthony
on
was
Friday
basically
was
like
incorrect.
throwing darts.
Jeez,
I don't know
you
what
guys
he was
pull it
doing.
together here, will
He's
you?
going to hear this in 30 seconds because he's on a delay.
Anthony,
and
we
when
love
he
you,
starts
but
laughing, I'm going to turn the camera to
The
him.
graphic was all messed up on
Yeah,
Friday.
all right.
All right, so let's get to today's bets.
Yep.
All Guardians related.
Yep.
They are a 1.5 underdog
Ooh,
versus the
wow,
Twins.
I thought I'd be the only one that took them.
And
G?
G. Bush isn't the one.
You're not
lone
feeling it.
Standing.
No, not at all. Not at all.
They ride this wave of mediocrity
Yeah,
into the
they
Twins.
Don't mess out here and take this L.
And they
Anthony's
face a tough
very red
pitcher.
This
right
is,
now.
by
He
the
just
way,
heard
it's
what
the
we were talking
same
about.
pitching matchup.
Yeah.
The
from a
same
couple
pitching
nights ago.
matchup from last week.
And neither starter was involved in the decision.
Right. Sonny
it was
Gray
decided
pitched
late.
well. McKenzie did not.
McKenzie got blasted.
Yeah, I think he'll bounce back.
Yeah, I hope so. He was just showing his
need it.
fastball too
Yep.
much. Okay, what's the second one?
Anthony's comment, by the way, is I hate it here. So he heard,
He
he
loves every minute
understands,
of it.
and he will promise to do better in the future. Okay, bet number
It's the
2,
one
Steve.
mistake Anthony's made in his 2 months here, and
Yeah,
I
the
called
one.
him out.
We'll let him live. Well, he'll be back tomorrow.
Yay.
Don't worry. All right, second one. Over 8 runs in the Guardians-Twins game tonight.
Yeah. Well, they scored over 8 when we had the same pitching
They
matchup
did.
last week.
Yep.
So, and the Guardians have scored 8 in their last 3 combined, so they're due to bust out the sticks.
By the way, I put a stat on Twitter that they're 4 for 36 with runners in scoring position over the last 4 games, and people were like yelling at me like I had something to do with it.
Yeah.
People don't like
that's
that.
the way it goes here.
You should have said I'm 0 for 0.
he
Mike,
just got
you
that
will
right
learn
in
this
that
quickly.
situation.
You're not allowed to give any negative stats,
Yeah,
even if
the
it's
second you do,
because you're a hater if
Yeah.
you do it.
I just was pointing it out, and they were
It
like,
doesn't-
"This is
that's
your fault,
irrelevant.
McNuggets."
It's
even
irrelevant.
if you had said, don't kill the messenger, but here's the message, you would still get it.
Any negative stat, you become a hater, especially when you're
That was
not
a
from
great
here.
sound
And
effect.
Bull, you let him
That
know.
was Jason.
You are
that
from
was- We have to
Texas.
get that on a soundtrack and a little button
You
to play.
are from Texas. Don't you mention nobody.
Yeah, you're an outsider.
Yeah, when you're especially when you're not from here,
Maybe
There's
in
still
15
people who haven't
years,
warmed
maybe
up to
in
me.
15 years.
I'm from here. I'm from here. I never knew that, right?
Oh, it's very rough, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm from here too, but if I tweet anything out that's critical,
yeah,
it's
people don't want to hear it.
Make it seem like I.
Oh, what? You're
stat.
smarter than Terry Francona?
I never said that.
He's
All right,
forgotten
what's
more.
the third?
Before we do the third one, we pitched the unathletic to Jason last week.
Yes.
Jason, a lot of people on Twitter are all for it, so the
I love
offer's
the
still
idea.
on the table if you want to accept and become my CFO.
I had a buddy text me and thought it was a great. He watched the clip and said that was
Yeah.
actually really funny. That was hilarious.
I think it should be an Onion version
The
of
unathletic?
sports
Yeah,
coverage.
that
you know?
would be good.
I'm telling you, I would read it every day.
We could do it. It'd be fun.
I would read it
Maybe
every
it's
day.
a weekly segment we do here. We
Yes.
highlight one of your guys' unathletic accomplishments.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, that is a good
That's
idea.
pretty
Let's
good.
run with that.
That's
Okay.
pretty good.
I like that.
All right, well, let's get to the third bet because we talked about kicking Aditi off for time, and now we're
Nuggets.
producing future segments on the air. The question is, will Stephen Kwan record a hit tonight? It was minus 105 on our sportsbook. And G. Bush, You're the only one that said no.
Hey, man, I'm not
You hater. Haterade.
Don't you dare tweet that out today, bro.
Hey,
G. Bush hates Stephen Kwan.
Hey, you know what? But
You can twist that however you want, G.
I'm the angry black guy. Why ain't angry?
You're not angry, though. That's the thing with you.
So.
Even when I thought you were going to boil over when we started today.
Yeah.
And you came at it very measured.
I'm the angry guy around here.
Yeah, he's the angry bull.
Raging bull.
My
Raging
therapist
bull.
says you should
Oh, that's too good.
articulate. You can't just be upset all the time like when I got hacked
it's
last week, but I got my password back now.
Oh, you did get it all fixed?
Now I'm
Man,
back.
you came in here last Friday like someone stole your puppy.
I don't like that, man.
He was
Do not.
coming.
Hey, Jackson.
I remember when it happened to Darryl Ryder. They were putting like
By the
porn
way,
up and all kinds of stuff.
Oh.
They got my password.
How did they get your password, by the way?
I don't know, bro. They just got. It was the first day I got a verification check, and they just hopped on me like, you got a verification check? Give me that.
Someone at Twitter did it.
Somebody, yes. Bro, it was bad. I'm like, this is discrimination.
Check discrimination.
All these folks got all these check marks. Now you get me.
They gave us a warning at the Athletic of like, if you see this, do not click. That's how
We have to go through that here
You
too.
clicked on
McNugget
something
said
shady.
something big.
Click on something shady, G.
No, this actually is big, and this is serious, and we'll do final takes in a sec.
Okay.
But with the possibility of impending Watson news coming this week, as soon as that decision from the NFL is announced, G. Bush, Adam the Bull, myself, and some rotating cast members are going to hop on Restream, which will be streamed through our YouTube account and our Twitter, so you can watch it live.
The same way they watch the show, right?
Exact same way you watch the show, or through Twitter. So if you follow us on Twitter or YouTube, anywhere, we will be live with immediate reaction to the news. So
doesn't matter if it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
It doesn't. No, this will be
Whenever
at any point of the day when it happens. G. Bush, Adam the Bull, myself, and hopefully as many of the other people on the show as we can get on will come on, and we will break down with some immediate reaction.
Unless I'm at a Little League game, I guess.
Well, we hope.
I'll get on my phone.
Your Little League games enough.
I think you could do both at the same time. I want to see you in the third base coach's box.
Right.
Arguing the strut balls and
No, I'm only in the dugout. I'm not in the coach's box.
You never coach bases?
I don't. I let my assistants
will on
handle
Thursday
that.
when we go out there with the camera. When we go out there with the camera.
You got to stop. Man, oh man. When I coached Little League, it was me and another kid's
I got
dad,
4 assistants.
And we each took a bag.
No.
And then halfway through the season, we let a rotation of players.
Yeah, no, I like to be in the dugout. I like to coach.
You like to
the
get the
dugout.
macro view.
Yeah.
I sit on a bucket right on the corner of the dugout.
Yeah, that's a good spot to sit on. Yeah.
These guys.
And future content alert, we are actually going out to Bull's final regular season game on Thursday.
Are we?
To mic him up.
Wow.
And we are going to turn a live Seeing Red segment of Adam the Bull, however he coaches his Little League team.
I mean, I don't
Regular
yell at
season
the
finale.
kids. But
Well, sometimes.
no, I
if
don't
they're
really
picking,
yell at
if they're
them.
picking daisies, you make them run.
Don't be playing in the dirt.
Yeah,
Don't play in the dirt.
So if you're going to come out to one of my games, let me pick the game because I want it to be a game where I'm starting against a team that's under 500.
Right.
Okay.
Because I started Saturday against a team that was one spot below. They're in second place, and they were hitters. They were all hitters, top to bottom. So I had to struggle. We did get the dub.
The fact that you be still playing like regular baseball
Slide
games.
head first. I do it all, man.
Who does that?
Yeah. You know what? I got a shirt. I bought this at a tournament in Florida last year. You don't quit playing baseball because you're old. You're old because you quit playing baseball.
Deep.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, the guys that I played with my whole life, different stages, 20s, 30s, 40s, even now in my 50s, they've all told me the same thing. They wish they hadn't quit.
Yeah, once you stop,
because
it's done.
once you stop,
It's done.
the body slams on the brakes.
It's
And
done.
I'm not going to let that happen.
It's done.
I'm not gonna let it
I can attest to that. It's done.
Now, my arm
Once
is
you-
throbbing
once you
until
stop, it's
Wednesday
done.
every week, but I'm not stopping. What's your record right now? Because we kind of lost track of that.
We
You
are.
won 3 or
We're 4-10
okay.
with 2 games to go.
Does
already.
anybody get into play? Everybody
gets in. Our first playoff game is Tuesday.
Is
We're
it
locked
seeded,
into the
though,
4
so
seed.
you'll play a tough. Oh, so it is.
We're
Seeded.
locked into the 4 seed. Yeah, there's it's 1 through 4 in each division.
Right.
And so we are the 4 seed. We don't know who the 1 seed's going to be yet. It's still up in the air.
Right. But you beat a team that was like in first place, didn't you?
We did.
So,
we
hey,
did. And then we lost
baseball.
another game by 1 run to a team in first place.
You run the table, that'd be crazy.
Tuesday, July 5th at 5:30 is our playoff game.
right.
No matter
Good
what
luck.
we do.
If you guys
like
win the championship, we're going to bring your whole team in here.
Absolutely.
and do
I
a
want to bring the
trophy
boys in here.
presentation.
They'd like to come
Well,
in.
they can come in and watch a show.
Yeah, whenever they
right?
want.
They can come in.
Can they? I thought we couldn't have visitors
I
right
think
now.
we're past that.
Okay.
Now. I think.
We'll double check because
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
a friend coming in this weekend who may stop by Friday. So we'll double check.
Final takes?
Yes.
Yeah, final takes. We got 7 minutes. Fire them off.
All right, who has one that wants to
I
start?
do,
Go ahead.
Jay. So I'm obviously the angry guy on the set. I let a lot of little things bother me. Last week, after Friday's show, I got a text from Jay, and he, I'm not going to give all the details, but Jay mentioned, you seemed like you were a little upset, and I didn't get into the details. Last week was a tough week for me, some of it involving what's going on in our country and a couple other things, but I did have a tough day Friday. I appreciate that Jay noticed that. And I got to say, though, even when I get angry and get fired up on the air, and I was bumming a little bit last week, but there are still good things out there. And I had a great weekend that really boosted my spirits and reminded me that there's a lot of good people still out there and a lot of positive things in life. Amongst the things I did this weekend, we recorded an episode of G. Bush's The Barbershop. And I had such a fun time doing that Saturday night. We did it at the place that I actually get my haircut. Shout out to Jen Reeves, and Annabelle is her partner, who I don't know as well, but they were great. Mm-hmm. And G did a great job of running this, and it was so much fun. I loved meeting your parents. I met your wife, obviously. And it was really fun, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I felt very good about that. That really cheered me up. I also went to see the new Top Gun movie. I mentioned it briefly. To be honest, my wife and my son had friends over. Like, my son had his buddy, and my wife is friends with his mom, and I was like, I'm getting the hell out of the house. So I was like, what should I do? I was like, I'm in the mood for some movie theater popcorn, to be honest. So I went to the theater, and I was like, I'll go see Top Gun. It's the best option. It was great. I enjoyed that. I went out for breakfast and had a nice breakfast with my family. My wife and son and I were playing this, like, inappropriate, like, funny game yesterday because, like, my son's starting this camp this week, and in it, like, today was Crazy Sock Day, and I was like, those are boring, and I went through all the list of actual funny camp things that are inappropriate, like, for kids, but, like, I think it would be a good Saturday Night Live bit, like, it's Smoke Crack Day, it's Get Drunk Day, and my son was laughing at all this stuff, which is patently absurd. And I feel like I'm forgetting something else that happened over the weekend. But
we went to a comedy show, Bo.
We went to Don Jameson's
totally
comedy.
Forgetting me.
Sorry, Mike. Mike and my buddy Hans, we went to the comedy show with Don Jameson, although there was 3 idiots sitting behind us who were loud and obnoxious. But besides that, we had a really good time. We had so much fun. I started my podcast, which the first episode, I think, is out. We're working on the timing of it.
Daily, right?
It's going to be a daily podcast. Eventually, it'll be available in the mornings. We're still working I'm learning some of the technical stuff, and I felt good about doing that. I set up, my wife helped me put together my background at my podcast studio. And I don't know, a lot of good, fun things happened to me over the weekend. And even when things are dark and feel hopeless at times, you got to get up, get moving, and keep doing what you can personally to make yourself feel better, to make your family feel better, and to make the people around you feel better. Don't just whine and complain about it on Twitter. Do something, get out there, have some fun, and be with people you love, and it was a great weekend.
Here. Great message.
I feel like I got to tell, now it's the thing, right? So I got this thing, right? It's called the Barbershop Tour. We go around, and I'm excited about it because not only is it about the people that's in the community, it's about business owners, it's about talking about different things. Yesterday, we had a... Saturday, we had a women's I think, summit. So we had, Cleveland Kate was on there, Mary Kay came on. We had a lot of different people that come on, and so far, we've had such great support. McNuggets has been there.
Anthony came.
Anthony was there.
DJ Hazmat?
Yeah, he wasn't there. We had Hazmat the first time. My man Brad came through.
Tyvis?
Oh, by the way, we will be calling y'all too. So you keep your phones on. You got,
as long as it's during the week, I'm in.
Yeah. See, like
Earl the Pearl.
But anyway,
and the Emerald Room is the name of the place. I didn't mention it before.
But here's the reality.
Yeah.
It's a good opportunity. The show is just showing that there's some civility in the world, right? Just because you're different, just because you got a different, perspective on things, it's all about coming together, having those conversations, and just celebrating the best out of humanity. So that's what the Barbershop Tour is. And I want to thank everybody for supporting it, and definitely Adam Wool showing love, and it was a great time on Saturday.
It really was.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
And for me, let's just talk about the last 50 years of Title IX, right? So I think that is a very important monumental time frame. I want to shout out to all the women that really have stood behind pushing Title IX to be in a place where women's sports and equality in this world can be pushed forward. And you just look at the gains that women have made, right? And it wasn't given to them. Sometimes you have to force your way into showing the world that there's a better way. And I think that over the course of the last 50 years, women have shown that they deserve a seat at the table. They are there. They have done some things. I was one of the initial women that was behind the Title IX push at Yale is now a co-owner of the Seattle Storm and the WNBA, and I think that's a phenomenal journey and a phenomenal tale to be told, because look how it has empowered women along the way. And we have forced the rest of the world to come along, right? Major college sports was not inclusive really in the beginning. It was just something that you kind of threw in, and now they're on par with what the men have to be in. And sometimes, even though you get dragged along, it's the right way to go. And so I just left D.C. this weekend visiting my daughter.
Nice. And
they were doing obviously the rallies for the pro-life and pro-choice in D.C. And so real change comes when young people get involved in this country. And so it just did my heart well to see that we're still active, right? We're not sitting it out. And so kudos to the folks and the women that have played a major role in Title IX.
Keep it thriving, too. Keep it thriving. Tomorrow, Brian Hartline, I talked to him yesterday. He's excited about coming on. I told him he's going to have a blast, so let's make it fun. He's going to talk about a lot of things, his future and how he's landing all these big recruits. Also, Josina Anderson says she's going to come on tomorrow.
Perfect.
But there's still some flexibility, so I want to throw that out there. The hope is she is here, but we're not completely booked yet. We are out of time. We got 6 seconds. We got to go. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.